Well, Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell already locked into Championship Sunday. Those 2 spots are up for grabs today. Let's bring in Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Burton. Jeff, how chaotic is Martinsville as a cutoff race?
Oh, this place is so chaotic. We've seen it in the past. And why is it so chaotic? It's a small half-mile racetrack, very tight corners. It's almost impossible to get around here without making contact. But you're going to have to be willing as a driver to make contact in this race. Get your front bumper to here's the front bumper, move him out of the way, door to door, slam him, move him up the groove. Your values and morals are going to be tested all day long here.
That's right. And we've seen here at Martinsville, the drivers' tempers go through the roof, you know, and so they got to do whatever it takes. So they're racing for a championship. They want that opportunity to do that in Phoenix next week. But as you and me both know, we saw last year something that we've never seen before, and we may see it again today, Marty.
Well, Junior, let's take you through the Xfinity starting lineup, and we'll focus on the pole winner, Martin Truex Jr., who in his own words said nothing has gone right in the playoffs for the regular season champion. But as he told me, he's viewing today as a reset for him and his crew. The number 19 pit crew has been much maligned during the playoff run, and this week, changes on the team for Truex, a new rear tire changer, and Jackman coming in. Will the last-second Hail Mary be enough to help Truex advance to the championship for a record 6th time? They have 500 laps to figure it out, Parker Kligerman.
Well, Marty, today could be a defining moment in Denny Hamlin's career as he comes in this cutoff race 17 points below the cut line. And he told me, you know, today is not a must-win, but he's approaching it as a must-win, and why not? At 51 career wins and 42 years old, how many more chances is he going to have to get that elusive championship? And what a better place to come than Martinsville, where he's won 5 times. Can he get that 6th win on a day that he might need it and go after a championship, Dave Burns?
Parker, Ryan Blaney has the first pit stall in off the backstretch that everybody passes by on their way to their pit stalls. Now it becomes a liability when his crew finishes quickly, such as a strategic 2-tire stop. He's got to be very careful blending back in to the line of cars coming past him. Thanks to good finishes at Vegas and Homestead, Ryan starts today 10 points above the cut line, but he doesn't need damage on pit road to halter his quest for advancing to the championship for next week. Kim Kuhn.
Well, Dave, after spinning out in qualifying, Tyler Reddick starts mid-pack all the way back in the 19th position. That spin made their job today much more difficult. That's because Tyler comes into this race minus 10 points below the cut line with a real opportunity to point his way into the championship 4. Stage points, though, will be paramount. Crew Chief Billy Scott says there is a serious concern that if the first stage goes green, they will not be in position to earn any stage points. In that case, it changes their focus to a must-win situation. Tyler said, though, Marty, he's willing to use his bumper here today.
Well, Kim, we mentioned Martin Truex Jr. and his pit crew. One advantage they have because they won the pole, the #1 pit stall at Martinsville, one of the best pit stalls on the entire NASCAR circuit. Why? Well, Martinsville's known to be very chaotic on pit road. It's narrow, there's 2 sharp turns, but this stall has a tremendous advantage because it allows your own exit lane, in essence. No one in front of Truex today, and it's also close to the camera at the end of pit road. All of that should help the 19 team on every stop. It's almost time to go green. Let's head up to the booth to Rick Allen and Steve Letarte.
Thank you, Marty. And Steve, we heard Jeff Burton mention morals and values could be tested today. So what is that limit that we might see drivers try to test here at Martinsville?
Whatever we dream up to be the limit, these drivers are going to have to cross it. It's not a question of will we see chaos like we have seen here in the past, but when. This is going to happen between Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin. Yes, you're seeing a common number involved. Denny Hamlin again, this time getting spun off the front of the 48. It's short track racing at its finest, and now you slam it into the NASCAR playoffs with everything on the line. 2 drivers have advanced. 6 have an opportunity for those final 2 spots. It pushes every driver to their limit, both talent and morality.
Just reminding you that at the end of the first stage, the top 10 in the finishing order have a chance to get up to 10 points. If you win that stage, you get 10 points. All the way down to 10th is 1 point. That's what positions, though, count for on the racetrack, too. This is how close it is. Those 2 spots, Byron and Blaney hold them right now. They're up for grabs.
They are up for grabs. Here's your cliff notes. Byron at plus 30. He wants a couple good stages to feel maybe not mathematically locked in, but feel very good about advancing. Blaney, Reddick, Truex, Hamlin, an absolute bar fight of a battle for points. Buescher at minus 43. While he's not mathematically eliminated, he has to be thinking this is a must-win situation, being 43 and last on the current leaderboard.
And a gorgeous fall day in Martinsville, Virginia, and the fans have showed up. Sold out crowd here to see this, the elimination race. Only 4 drivers after today's race will have a shot at the championship. For 35 races now, these teams have worked diligently to try to reach that goal. It all comes down to 500 laps here at Martinsville.
This track it's really unlike anything else. You know, Bristol has this kind of Coliseum feel on the top of the mountain. Well, Martinsville has this iconic throwback short track field. Drivers in the field all grew up racing at a short track somewhere. You know, as the sun starts to set later, the lights will start to glimmer, and that's when that action will be turned up. And right here at the green flag, it's kind of this test of patience, but also opportunity. You can gain spots. Everyone is going to fight to the bottom. The bottom, right around the curb, is the preferred lane, so the car is starting on the outside, like the 11 of Hamlin, the 23 of Bubba Wallace, the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Eventually, they're going to want to get to that inside lane.
Let's listen in. Ryan Blaney and this team, what was the pep talk that we heard out of them?
Everybody have a good day. Really good job last 2 weeks. Finish her off, do the best we can. I know we can do it. Long race, try to keep this thing clean for you. Good luck, boys.
Long race, try to keep it clean for you. 500 laps around here, and you just showed us a lot of what could happen with bumping and banging.
And why he isn't starting inside the top 10, don't let that fool you. That 12 car in practice, one of the best cars on the long run. Long runs will be important.
Young Ty Gibbs in the 54 will be alongside the veteran, Martin Truex Jr. As they come out of 4, the green flag will go in the air. The Martinsville race is underway.
A little bit of polite teamwork between Gibbs' teammates as the youngster Ty Gibbs in that 54 gets a slow start, allowing Truex to the bottom.
Still a fight for that second spot as Gibbs has the preferred line on the inside. Denny Hamlin in the 11 trying to take that second spot away.
And while the bottom is preferred, you can make a little time up top, but the reason drivers are looking for the bottom is this is more work on that right rear tire of the Hamlin. That's the tire that gives up first. So right here he turns in, everything's okay, but as the 11 goes back to the gas, he has to work those outside tires a little harder on the outside of the racetrack.
We always hear the 6 degrees of separation. Well, we're riding along on the Coke Zero Sugar number 11 of Denny Hamlin. There is 0 degrees of separation from all the cars that he's racing around because he's either racing with a teammate or a car that, by the way, the 54, that's a teammate that just got in the back of him. He owns the 23 of Bubba Wallace. So he's a team owner and a driver at the same time.
14, that red and black 14 of Chase Briscoe. Up front here, now we're on board with the Toyota, on board of Christopher Bell. He's back here just outside the top 5. 2 wide in front, Kevin Harvick below. Kevin Harvick, final year of his career coming to a close, only here and next week at Phoenix. I know we're going to talk a lot about the playoffs and the potential champion we're going to crown next week, but it's also going to be a big send-off these next 2 weeks for Kevin Harvick.
And the crowd so respectful and knowledgeable here at Martinsville. When he was introduced, they introduced him as this might be the last time, or this will be the last time that he'll race here at Martinsville. Crowd gave a big roar for Kevin Harvick and the career that he has put together.
130 laps in this stage. These cars at this short track, Rick, can run over 150 laps on fuel. So, you know, there's not a required pit stop fuel-wise. But if a yellow comes out somewhere in the middle of this stage, you're definitely going to want some fresh Goodyears.
Pulling out to a pretty substantial lead early, 1.5 seconds. Martin Truex Jr. over Denny Hamlin. Yellow lines underneath drivers that are in the playoffs and trying to get one of those championship 4 spots.
Jeff Jr., I'm a little jealous, I won't lie. It's my favorite track on the circuit. You were just down trackside, sold out crowd. From up here, it looks just full of excitement and entertainment down there. What was it down there on the track?
There's a lot of energy down on the racetrack. Obviously walking through the fans, up through the grandstands to get to the booth. Everybody's excited about what's happening here today. They expect to see some fireworks. We got a great dose last night in the Xfinity Series of what's possible today. And as this race goes on and gets a little deeper into those final few laps, we're going to see how desperate these drivers are.
I'm going to tell you what it is, too. It's hot. It is a uncharacteristically hot weekend here in Martinsville, and that is going to test the drivers. One of the hottest I've ever been in my life was at a race at this racetrack. This will be a major test. Who's in shape and who's not.
Blaney clearing the 41 of Ryan Preece.
Yeah, even though the ambient temperatures here aren't, usually hotter than most races, there's nowhere to really get air moving around in the car. It's a small racetrack, and so the air inside the car continues to go, temperature-wise, go up. You got engine temp, brake temps, all those things just sort of baking that driver inside there. Your feet get hot. Everything gets pretty used up here in this race.
All right, Parker, it's early in this run, but how is Denny Hamlin doing out there on track?
Well, Dave, he's been quiet. Sorry, Rick. He's been quiet on the radio, but one of the things you saw there early on was a move in front of Ty Gibbs at 54. I spoke to his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, before this race, and I said, how do you race your teammates? Obviously, against the 19, maybe the best team win, but what about the 54, the 20? He said, all the teams that Joe Gibbs met and discussed this, and obviously there's ways that they can help us and be courteous on the racetrack. I think you saw that at Ty Gibbs when he let the 11 slot in from the high side into turn 3 and now runs in second, trying to chase down that 19 car, Martin Truex Jr.
Top two right now. They, between them, have 8 Martinsville wins. 5 for Denny Hamlin, 3 for Martin Truex Jr. A grandfather clock. The prize at the end of this race for the winner. As we see already pressure being put to the 23 of Bubba Wallace. Ryan Blaney in that 12 is definitely faster.
Ryan Blaney in practice yesterday had a ton of speed. This team really hasn't had a lot of speed this year, but in the playoffs, they brought it, Steve. They've had their best runs of the year. They've been consistently fast, and even, a lot of different racetracks from last week to this week, but speed in both of them. Dave.
Ryan Blaney can see the weaknesses of Bubba Wallace there on track, but he's being reminded over the radio. And to your point on practice yesterday, crew chief Jonathan Hassler, who you see right there, told me that they were indeed one of the best cars, if not the best, especially in the group that they practiced with. Their only weakness, a little bit in the longer, later runs. So right now, great time for the 12 car. They made adjustments to make those longer runs the best.
We've continued to see Bubba Wallace get better and better, and he's trying to stay in front of Ryan Blaney. Off the racetrack, these two are best friends. On the racetrack, they're enemies. They're fighting for every inch on the track. They're fighting for every position.
The 12 car was probably the best car in practice. So even if Bubba does end up giving this spot up, I mean, he's giving it up to a really fast race car. Stay focused, stay driven. You get passed by a car, you think, okay, we're not good. Somebody's faster than me, but this might be the best car in the field before it's all said and done. It's 12 with Blaney. Bubba's sitting right there in front of him. Blaney trying to figure out a way to create a run. When he got up underneath him at one time, made contact. The reason why the contact happens is because it's so hard just to even get that ground on a driver. And so you can't really give it up if you get that opportunity. Start to see a little rubber being laid down in the corners, only 20 laps into this race. Drivers are hoping that it's going to allow a lot of rubber to go down on this track with this new tire and widen it out and present opportunities to make passes, move around in the corners.
Bubba Wallace's teammate, Tyler Reddick, qualified 19th. You can see the points right there. He really needs a good run today. Had good speed in practice, did not lay a qualifying lap down at all, actually spun out on his second lap. And that got him started 19th. Well, he has only gotten up to 18th. So it is tough to pass today. And when will his patience wear out? That's the question for Tyler Reddick. Does your strategy change? You came in here thinking you could race for points to get yourself in. Does it get to the position where you feel like you have to win? And if you do, what are you willing to do to go get that win?
There's a train on the racetrack, and right now the engine is Martin Truex Jr. There's also something unique about this racetrack. It's right next to the train tracks as the train goes by. Martin Truex Jr. leading at Martinsville. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR is brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. Switch to one of the fastest growing mobile services. Visit XfinityMobile.com today. Progressive Insurance. For a job you'll love, visit Progressive.com/careers. And by Novartis. 29 laps into the race, and we saw how Bubba Wallace looked to be holding up the 12. Well, the 12 said it's time. So a little shove, and then the pass was made.
It got aggressive with him down there, and both 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 moves him up the track, and then we'll watch Bubba here down in turns 3 and 4. Gets him just a little, hey man, little contact there, but Bubba didn't really make it too difficult on him. Could have. Early in the race though. Then Bubba lost another spot to the 41 of Priest, so Bubba's struggling just a little bit here as we get further into this run, but this 12 car now clear of traffic and trying to close in on the 5 of Larson.
And the 19 of Truex is heavy in traffic now, so that same, I don't want to call it panic, but urgency we saw out of the 12, that's what we're starting to see on cars at the tail end of the lead lap as the 19 catches the 51. Cars in front of him, like the 42 of Hocevar, the 31 of Haley, 16 of Allmendinger, 43 of Jones. They hear the leaders coming. With still almost 100 laps in this stage, Martin Truex Jr. is going to lap a good ways into the group here.
Yeah, Steve, back-to-back poles for Martin Truex Jr. and his crew chief, James Small. They're hoping to turn that into their first top 5 of the entire playoffs with just 2 races left here in the season. When I talked to James Small this morning, Steve, he said, I've never made more changes, though, to a car that was on the pole than I did this morning. Our long-run speed was terrible. Have you ever been in that situation with Jeff Gordon or Dale Jr., Steve, where you had a great short-run car, you sat on the pole maybe, but you just knew it would not be good in the race?
Well, that's the struggle of Martinsville. Rarely do you get a car that's good at the short run and the long run. The 19 in practice, that terrible you were talking about, was the right rear tire. In the long run, it would just lose grip. That's the tire that's saturated. It's doing most of the work, and he would just get looser and looser and looser. The concern is if you change everything to fix the long run, maybe you would be bad at the short run. Now, the good news for Truex, obviously so far, 35 laps into the race, the short run on the 19 looks okay.
We showed Martin Truex Jr. leader. He's above the cut line because of that. Again, you win and you advance if you're one of the 6 playoff drivers that haven't won already in this round. So he is above the cut line, and now the 2 right there around the cut line separated by 7 points. Byron in front of Hamlin.
Jeff, you and I have had this debate, right? Long run versus short run. But you know my favorite quote, in every single long run, there is a short run. So I appreciate James making some adjustments, but I want to make sure that that car fires off.
Well, exactly, because, Steve, there's a lot of races here that end with a rash of short runs. If you don't have takeoff speed and somebody has it better, even you can lead the entire race and lose it with 10 to go.
The cars that Truex is lapping, they're going to race him just a little bit harder to try to stay on the lead lap. It's allowing Denny Hamlin to close in as we watch right here on the nose of this 11 car, the Coca-Cola Zero Sugar Cam.
The gap used to be 1.6 seconds. It's all the way down to 0.4 seconds now.
And this is where I think having a teammate is really valuable. You know, they're both kind of on the same agenda, and they don't have a lot of pressure from Gibbs. Behind him is Briscoe. They're kind of spread out a little bit, so they can take their time a little bit. Pressure's not high to make these passes.
And Truex is opening up his corner just a little bit. We were hoping this tire would maybe widen this track out a little bit. We're seeing some drivers move up on entry to be able to turn across in the middle of the corner and get a straighter drive off the bottom on exit to be able to get into gas center. As this groove widens out, that becomes even more possible to be able to drive up on those slower cars and cross them over and get up under them on corner exit.
Parker, how about Denny Hamlin now?
Well, Jeff said there's no pressure on these Gibbs drivers, but for the 11 team, I'm not quite sure about that because since the start of this race, they have anticipated this moment of the 19 getting into traffic. At lap 11, they were telling Denny how long till they got to the back end of the field because they felt like this is where the opportunity lies for the 11 car. One is the long run. They feel like Denny's one of the best on the long run at this racetrack, but also his ability to get through traffic and to catch and make passes in traffic. And as you alluded to, Rick, he cut almost a second out of that deficit to Martin Truex Jr. as they navigate through this traffic. So the 11 coming online here at lap 42 as they're in heavy traffic.
Junior, you brought up a great point. If you're the next car in front of Martin Truex Jr., you're going to race him as hard as you possibly can because you do not want to go a lap down. The difference, though, is once Martin goes by him, they will let Denny by because they don't want to race Denny as hard because it's not as big a deal because they're already that lap down.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you're a lap down, so you're trying to get the free pass if the caution should come out. So you definitely want to keep the cars in front of you that are also getting lapped within distance. But what also happens, Rick, is all of these cars in front of Martin start racing each other harder. They get desperate. They start bumping on each other, pushing each other out of the way, trying to put more cars between them and the leader that's chasing them down.
Blaney has caught that 5. We mentioned how he was able to get by Bubba Wallace and then set his sights on the 5. And Blaney's looking very strong already. He's running in the 8th position, and he's closed the gap on Kyle Larson.
For this day to be successful for Blaney, he needs to continue to drive through this field in this first stage. He needs top 5 stage points. Both the cars that are trying to chase him down in points are running 1-2, Truex and Hamlin.
Blaney doing all he can 45 laps into this, but it's kind of tough when Martin Truex Jr. has led every lap here at Martinsville. A new leader in Martinsville. Denny Hamlin was able to get by the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. There was a little bit of bumping and banging. Martin Truex Jr. ended up in the high line, and Denny dives down below.
Yeah, Truex is having some troubles with his car, locking up the left front. That usually means the car's getting a little bit tight on him. As more rubber gets laid down on this track, there's a huge shift towards getting tighter and tighter. Everybody's starting to move around on this racetrack, looking for how to get their cars to rotate. And we're also seeing a ton of rubber build up on the bottom groove right here in turn 3 and 4, and it starts to actually stack up on top of the racetrack. Drivers are trying to avoid that with the tires. If your tires hit it, you just slide across the top of that. So you see that rubber stacking up, building up on top of that, right on that outside groove. So you'll want to either run below, above, or straddle that as you go through the corner. We're seeing lots of cars moving around down in 3 and 4.
It gets glued to the racetrack, and then it just continues to build on itself. Ty Gibbs, you saw right there, he's running the second lane. Went all the way around it. I'm sorry, that was Christopher Bell. Went all the way around it, running the second lane. When you hit it, it's like your car is on ice. It just immediately just chatters across it. Won't turn, won't make her grip.
We used to see this every single race about a decade or more ago, right? And then the tires got a little harder with the next-gen car, a little different tire, a little more conservative tire, and we did not see it. We didn't see rubber get put down on the track, but this is a new tire designed to put more rubber down on the track. That's one of the byproducts of that, is the rubber stacking up on the track and creating another obstacle for the drivers. I dig it.
Oh, I love it. This is what it should be, right? If you don't have challenges like this and you don't have cars that go away on the long run, this really becomes purely a track position race. You start calling it, as crazy as it sounds, like a repave. You know, save gas, save tires. That's not short track racing we want to see. This obstacle now of the rubber going on the racetrack is giving drivers a fit. It's going to give crew chiefs a fit, and then now we're going to have good and poor handling race cars.
We saw the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger trying not to go a lap down to the 11 of Denny Hamlin, but he did get past. So now there are still 30 cars on the lead lap. Eric Jones, the last car on the lead lap in the 43, as we're riding along with the Hunt Brothers Pizza. Number 4 of Kevin Harvick looking out the windshield. Take a look at the progressive telemetry as we ride along with Kevin Harvick.
So
down
shifting
into third gear.
Yeah, shifting here at Martinsville, we won't see high gear. Fifth gear not used, the way this next gen car is designed and the gearing put in it. So you see him up to 4, which is what high gear will be here at Martinsville. Down to third gear. Really every lap we're going to see shifting.
And you can see the challenge of passing, right? He's right behind his teammate, Chase Briscoe. Chase up the racetrack a little bit, but nowhere near enough room for Harvick to drive into. You almost have Chase has got to make a mistake. Or right there, you can throttle up before he can and drive underneath him. It is a very difficult pass. It's always been. This racetrack is a real test, and they got to do it all day.
How hard is this track as far as physically on a driver? We just saw, or when riding along with Harvick, he's shifting every corner, but then he was flipping switches there too while he was on the straightaway.
I'll tell you the worst part and the most physical part about racing here is braking. And whatever leg, you know, your left leg, your foot as well, you'll almost walk with a limp when you come out of here today because of mashing the brake pedal repeatedly so many times in a row, and also how that pedal goes to the ball of your foot. It bruises your foot, and so it's really, really painful. Especially if your car's tight, you mash the brakes so much harder to slow the car down to be able to rotate in the corner. If you got a tight race car, it can be difficult. Parker?
Right, Dale, it's about 1,000 pounds of pressure each and every corner, each time under greens. We ride on board here at Kevin Harvick. Something interesting from his crew chief, Rodney Childers. We talk about the veteran that is Kevin Harvick. He said to me, you know, when you look at the 14 of Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece, and the 41, Eric Almirola, they all run the same setup. He said, Kevin, we run an entirely different setup. And Steve, I think that's something interesting for fans out there to realize. When you have a veteran driver who knows that feel, even in a next-gen car, how many races he's been here, he has a setup that's entirely different than them, and yet here they are both running 4th and 5th, nose to tail. Sometimes you just got to trust that driver's feedback when he has that much experience.
Well, and that's something, Parker, that short tracks really kind of, I think, will allow a crew chief to lean. When you go to a high-speed racetrack, engineering's going to dominate. I'm sorry, Dale, Jeff, you may like the car to feel this way or that way, but I'm going to put the car in the best aerodynamic position. I'm going to put the car tires in the best location for the most grip, and you kind of almost have to drive around it. Jeff, as much as you don't want to hear this, you got to drive it a certain way, but here at Martinsville, there are a few things I perhaps have to do the way the track's designed, but there's a lot of things I can adjust to customize it more for the driver.
Yeah, it is such a difficult thing to do because drivers all drive differently. You know, it's not like we're computers and you just drive it a certain way. Everybody feels the car differently. Everybody likes the car to be good in a certain area, doesn't want to make compromises in others. And just running a common setup across all the cars doesn't always work. Marty, what do you have on William Byron?
Well, Jeff, he came in, William Byron did, with 6 wins to Martinsville here in the season of 2023, plus 30 above the cut line as well. So a lot of people had William Byron penciled into the championship 4, but the team did not qualify well, 16th, and they have not run well so far, just up 2 spots to 14th. I think it bears reminding everyone, Jeff, that Kevin Harvick came into this race 3 years ago, plus 42 above the cut line, did not advance to the championship 4 simply on speed. So that bears the question, should William Byron feel comfortable with that plus 30 margin above the cut line? He's already lost a lot so far early on.
You can't feel comfortable with anything in Martinsville. He came in with a big lead, but if he does not get stage points here, Hamlin running first, Truex running second. That's a lot of points that those guys could get. Blaney, he's running 7th with a fast car. Maybe he's going to even go further up. That, to me, put William Byron in a difficult situation. He only got 1 stage point here in April, and he finished 23rd. So not great speed today, not great speed in the spring. They're going to have to find a way to get better.
Byron running 14th up front. It's been all Joe Gibbs Racing with Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. up front. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, Xfinity 500. NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. Follow your favorite drivers with access to their in-car cameras. You can even choose some alternate camera angles. All you have to do, visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the NASCAR mobile app. So two drivers above the cut line. That would be the 11 and 24. Denny Hamlin and William Byron. Denny Hamlin leading the race. William Byron 5 points above the 12 of Ryan Blaney. And Martin Truex Jr. now 7 points behind William Byron. So those four drivers, two on the top of the cut line, two on the bottom of the cut line.
Well, look where William Byron is running and why that's hurting so much. He's 14th, right? So Hamlin's leading, Truex is second, Blaney 7th, right? So everyone in that points battle is right inside that top 10, either leading or scoring points. But all the way down at 14th is William Byron with 52 laps to go in the stage. There's got to be just a smidge of panic setting in, thinking they may miss this first pay window.
Look right here. You can see it all on the screen, the top 7. Now that the 11's past the 43, he's driving away, but the rest of the 2nd through 7th place, all right here together. Lots of spots available. Truex doesn't want to lose any. And at the backside of this is the 12 of Blaney trying to get through all of this as we close in on the end of the stage.
Starting to see a few drivers try that second line. Even when they're not around traffic, they'll run that higher line here.
Yeah, I think this car right here, the 12, look, he's like, hey, man, I've got to be aggressive. I don't got any choice here. It's got to do whatever it takes to take this spot. You cannot wrestle and race with this 20 car and allow these guys in front of you that are spots and positions to get away.
Blaney trying to take that 6th spot. Bell fighting back on the outside. Bell has already clinched a spot with his win earlier in this round.
Bell allows him to have it. Now Blaney tries to go after the 4 car of Harvick in front of him.
I don't know what I need here, Adam. I like get that slide in the rubber real bad. Sometimes I slide loose, sometimes I slide tight.
Christopher Bell talking about that rubber on the racetrack, Jeff.
And Adam Stevens is not going to fix that problem. Like, he is not going to make a change to the car to make it ride over the rubber better. What Christopher's got to do is figure out where he needs to put the car so he doesn't have to run through the rubber, or so that he's running through it and going straight on corner exit, and then make the adjustment to the car so he can do that. Because there is nothing Steve can do to help my race car to go across the rubber bed.
No, but I have so much information now, Jeff. I think you're absolutely right. Now I'm not looking at tire pressure or wedge in the car. Now I'm looking at everyone else's driving line and driving style. I'm not going to say you're doing it wrong, Jeff, but as we ride on board with Bell, looking at that Toyota onboard, I'm going to start making suggestions, right? Hey, Hamlin is trying this. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but you're busy. You can't see what everybody else is doing. Let me see everything I see from the pit box. Give you a few laps. We still have 46 to go. Do a little test, a little experiment, and see if any of those work for you.
All right, there are a couple drivers in these playoffs that are struggling right now, with Reddick and Buescher running in the 17th and the 19th position. Kim, what are they saying on the radio?
Well, Tyler Reddick has been silent on the radio, but to your point, he's running 17th. Really hasn't made much headway after starting 19th. And this is exactly what crew chief Billy Scott was worried about. The fact that if this stage goes green, it does not present strategy opportunities for them to make up ground on track position. So they're going to have to flip a switch if it does stay green and change their focus to a must-win situation and figure out what that looks like for the second half of this race. They did feel good about the long run, but just still disconnected in the corner for Tyler Reddick, Dave.
Chris Buescher runs 19th in the 17 car. When I bumped into the birthday boy, yes, he turns 31 today. I asked him what he got for his birthday. He said nothing. I don't want anything yet. What I want is in victory lane, a grandfather clock, and that's going to be what it takes for Chris Buescher to advance to the championship 4. Right now, his car is hard to turn the corners, but that's been getting better. It's freeing up a little bit. The big problem, hasn't passed anybody.
Yeah, running back in that 19th position. We've talked about at the end of the stage, you can earn points. Chris Buescher's not in a point situation. He has to win this race. He's at such a deficit. That's the only way he can advance into the championship 4. Austin Cindric has closed the gap now on Buescher. Cindric's been running some pretty fast laps. He was one of the drivers I saw that was running a little bit higher line earlier.
Yeah, some of those cars, you know, Cindric running 20th, some of those cars back in the pack were kind of forced to run somewhere else, and several drivers found it to work well, and then others started copying it. We see that every week, Junior. We see guys in the back of the pack kind of forced to do something different, and it works. Spotters immediately see it, start telling their drivers to try it.
Blaney right there wiggling on throttle, car trying to spin the rear tires. We're right at that point where some cars in these last few laps are going to just drop off a cliff. The balance is just going to go away. 90 laps on the first set of tires always is a lot to ask. At Martinsville, track's a little green. It's going to put down some rubber, and rubber's coming off your tires, and you're going to be slipping, sliding around. How much of that is that 12 car used up? You're watching this 24 and this 10. These two have been battling for much of this stage. That's a great example right there of the 10 trying to move around, and the 24 staying down on the bottom in the rubber, and watch him slide and not be able to exit the corner. And he watches this 10, sees this 10 make some headway. Maybe he tries that line himself in a few laps as this 10 gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah, Byron's view.
There he goes. He's going to go up there now. He's like, I can't keep losing ground. But when he tries to turn across the racetrack, man, he drives across that rubber, just can't really get in the throttle there.
Pods on board giving us this shot from William Byron, and Byron running in that 15th position right now. NASCAR is 75 years old, and this racetrack is older. Ever since there was a NASCAR, they have been racing right here at Martinsville Speedway. And Steve mentioned it earlier, it's almost like a bar fight. At the end of this race, you better be strapped in. Bubba Wallace is debuting the Xfinity Selfie car. The paint scheme has 65 Xfinity Rewards members highlighted on the hood of the car, providing customers the chance to imagine themselves on the track during the race. Xfinity Rewards, it's free and easy to join with rewards starting from day one, and they'll just keep on coming. Xfinity drivers and customers, scan the QR code and explore your rewards today. Bubba Wallace has fallen back to the 10th spot.
Danny Hamlin continuing to try to lap cars, was working in the inside of Suarez. Suarez got a little bit defensive, so he just rolled to the outside and rolled around the outside of him. And you know, these cars aren't awful. I mean, Suarez is 26th. The front of this group is the 47 of Stenhouse and the 21 of Harrison Burton. That's 22nd and 23rd. So, oh man,
That's about a wreck right there. Oh, it is going to be a wreck.
And it is around. The 48 goes around, and the caution will come out. You called it, Junior. Alex Bowman in the 48 was getting roughed up, and there was no give.
It started off turn 4. That wreck was a half a lap in the making.
And so Corey LaJoie, a lap down. When the caution comes out, the highest scored lap down car that's not in the caution or didn't cause the caution will get a free pass.
And that happens right in front of Denny Hamlin. I'm sure that shook him up just a little bit, being able to get through that. And everybody else, I mean, you know, all the leaders are right there within proximity of this 11 car.
Steve, 26 laps to go. Everybody comes for tires?
I think you have to. If you only had 30 or 40 laps in your tires, maybe you could stay out. But with over 100, I think everyone's going to be looking for pit road. Let's see right here.
This
the
is
47.
down,
yeah, he gets in the 21, gets him up a little bit. They know the 11's coming.
So he tries to get back down in front of the 48, and the 48's getting a lot of help. The 3, 48 all get into the back of this 21, and just, I don't know if the 21's loose right there, but there's contact, and both cars sort of get behind on the steering and get turned around. And the 7 comes in there. LaJoie makes contact. It just looks like the 21's a little loose, and that, as it gets sideways, it brings him down into the door of the 48.
3 was there, got into the back of the 21, couldn't get him straightened back out again. The 7 caught up in that one with LaJoie, having some damage there. And pit stops taking place, Dave.
11th to 6th for Ryan Blaney on that run for Goodyear Tires and Fuel, Kim.
And for Christopher Bell, he said, I'm a 1 tight center, 1.5 loose off. He doesn't want to be any tighter, though. He said lateral sliding is the biggest problem for fresh Goodyear tires. Sunoco Fuel, Parker.
And for the leader, Denny Hamlin, he said just lacking a little grip, late exit. It's 4 Goodyear tires for him, Marty.
Martin Truex Jr. said the car is way better than it was yesterday. A little too free on the longer run. Now it's up to the pit crew. 2 new pit crew members, a rear tire changer, a jack man. Can they take advantage of stall number 1? He goes in second and comes out second, Rick, but a nice solid stop for the 19.
Yeah, the top 2 are holding their spots with Hamlin and Truex. And the free pass goes to the 99 of Daniel Suarez. So coming off turn 2, a little chaos brings out caution number 1. ready for the restart of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Xfinity 500 from Martinsville Speedway. It'll be a sprint to the finish. 20 laps to the end of stage 1. The 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. caught for speeding on pit road. That's one of the things that these playoff drivers cannot have, is little mistakes. As you see that rubber buildup you guys were talking about earlier.
Yeah, they put, that's a great shot of it. Also, something you may notice is that they picked up a lot of rubber that was put down. That's one thing that we notice at a lot of concrete tracks. I've now learned, since I'm not a driver anymore, that this happens at all racetracks, asphalt and concrete, but you see it so well on the concrete tracks how under caution the hot tires before they come to pit road and these cold tires pick up all of the rubber being laid down on the track. And that makes Martinsville very tough because the track cycles back and forth between loose, tight, but that rubber laying on the track they'll want to continue to avoid.
Another thing that happened, because the stage is only 20 laps away, all the cars that were a lap down basically stayed out and took the wave around. So now we're back to 34 cars in the lead lap. So all of that work by the leaders to lap cars all out the window.
Pace car makes its way onto pit road, and the field back in the hands of Denny Hamlin. Chose the outside line, maybe a little Joe Gibbs Racing strategy there with Martin Truex Jr. on the inside. As we get ready to go back to racing, it'll be 19 to go in stage 1. Easily clearing that 19, but here comes Ryan Blaney in the 12. A great restart, trying to take second away.
That's a great way of defending that teammate work up front. If the inside lane doesn't go, you jump with the guy in the second row. Next thing you know, Blaney's in second.
And again, 18 laps away from paying points. 3 wide here as Logano's on the outside, Larson on the inside, and the 4 of Harvick in the middle. A little bumping. And pinball machine of the 4 of Harvick.
3 wide rarely works at Martinsville. They worked it out.
On board with Byron with this Pods onboard camera. Up to 13th, was kind of just stuck on that long green flag run. He's trying in these last 17 laps to get up inside the top 10. It's going to be a tall task, though, with Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, and Kyle Larson in front, although Harvick goes for a big slide. You hear him on the radio, points! He knows.
14, this would be for 13, 16 at the line.
So much information given to these drivers.
They're imploring him to get himself into the top 10. Go after these stage points.
They're forced to, because Hamlin, Blaney, Truex, all those guys having good days.
Isn't that always the case, Jeff? We go to these races, it seems to be when everyone needs a good day, they seem to find it. So much entertainment.
Competition's not going to make it easy on you. Now that Blaney racing for the lead right here. I cannot tell you how impressed I am with how this team has stepped it up. I mean, coming to the playoffs, very few people thought that they had the speed to work themselves through, but they have done a great job.
Not only the speed to work their way through. They dominated earlier in the year at Charlotte. That got them into the playoffs. But then, when they were able to win at Talladega to advance into the round of 8, I think everybody took notice, and Blaney has been extremely strong in this round.
Yeah, it's hard to believe in momentum is a real thing, but that win that you speak about, Rick, is really what's kind of turned their season back around, and they've been really good throughout the playoffs ever since. Had an almost perfect weekend last week at Homestead, gained over 27 points to the cutoff line, was 17 points out going into Homestead, came here to Martinsville 10 up, and he's having a great day. He's drove through the field trying to get those stage points he needs, Dave.
And Junior, you shared some numbers at the beginning of that. I think they bear repeating. Ryan Blaney, best average finish of active drivers here at Martinsville, 9.5. 3 stage wins, 6 top 5s, and the last 9 Martinsville. Ryan Blaney is good here, and he's good today, Parker.
And Dave, it's not just us that's noticing the speed of that 12 car and Ryan Blaney. Take a listen to the 11 team, especially crew chief Chris Gabehart under this last caution.
All right, the 12, he's the only one really coming.
how he is doing it is rolling the center better. Very similar to what you watch. How he is doing it is basically the quarter mark to the 2/3 mark. Just left wheel, just rapid.
Yeah, 10-4.
And Steve, to your point, it's not always about turning wrenches or air pressure. Sometimes you just need to give the driver the information of what they can do differently inside that race car. Of all the information you have at your disposal, that could be the tickets he's driving away from Ryan Blaney right now.
That's why the driver-crew chief relationship, in my mind, is tougher than ever, because it's more than just about when to pit and what adjustments to make. There's so much information. You have to really manage how much your driver can how much can they absorb while they're out here trying to race, trying to drive a car to its perfection.
And what I heard, or believe I heard in that little communication there, was they apparently have been watching what Ryan was doing in practice, studying that last night, so that he could reference it today. Hey, he's doing X, Y, and Z like we watched, like we saw. So that's a new thing. That wasn't here 10 years ago. Drivers having that information, crew chiefs and drivers now spending the evening going over what some of the faster cars are doing with their inputs and steering in practice.
Absolutely, that studying is paying off. And right here, the 21 and the 48, both cars that are one lap down, the only two that are one lap down, and the two that were involved in the last yellow, trying to find the free pass, and patience is definitely shortened between these two. They know what's on the line. We're 6 laps away from a yellow where the free pass will be awarded to one of these two cars.
And does the driver of the 21, Harrison Burton, does he feel slighted that he was involved in an accident not of his doing, and maybe feels like the 48 is the one who delivered that to him?
Well, we talk about aggression and when do you turn it up. It's different for everybody, but right now, if you're the 21, now's the time, because you do not want to finish stage 1 a lap down. So this lap for the 21 can be as important as anything else that happens today.
The other thing that's very important, William Byron right now is outside the top 10, which means no stage points at the end of this stage if he doesn't break into that top 10. And William Byron coming in was the one with the most points above the cut line, but as they're running, you see William Byron is below the cut line and out of that possible championship 4.
What's going to disappoint these two is at the top of the screen, the 11 of Denny Hamlin has gotten to the back of BJ McLeod, stayed out on old tires, took the the wave around. So now as the 11 laps the 78, the 21 and the 48, they may not quite realize it yet, but they're no longer racing for the free pass.
Yeah, that's a great information that needs to come from the spotter, because, yeah, you may be mad, you may be angry, but when it's time to pay somebody back is when it's good for you, not when it's bad for them. And if it's not an advantage to you, it's no sense in doing it.
Denny Hamlin so strong. One more lap here in stage 1. And it's been 3,136 days since Denny's last of his 5 wins here. That's 8 years and 7 months that the drought has been for Denny Hamlin as far as a win, but he's doing everything he can here in stage 1 as he's going to grab the most playoff points right there. Stage points going to Denny Hamlin. He'll win stage 1, his 8th stage win already this year, tied for the most. But 10 points going to the winner of the stage. On down, 9 to Blaney, 8 to Martin Truex Jr., Briscoe, Keselowski, Bell, Gibbs, Priest, Logano, and Harvick all gaining points. That means Byron, finishing 12th in that stage, does not get any stage points. Denny Hamlin winning stage 1. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR is brought to you by Marathon, proud to fuel drivers and their co-pilots. Pods, save up to 25% at pods.com during Pods holiday sale. And by Xfinity Mobile. Switch to one of the fastest growing mobile services. Visit xfinitymobile.com today. Well, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Chevy's created a special pink Camaro ZL1 pace car to show its support for the cause. For every lap run under caution with a pink pace car during October, Chevrolet will donate $350 to the American Cancer Society. Go to ChevyCares.com to learn more. Pit stop's about to be underway after stage 1 is complete.
The question is who pits. I think the leaders have to stay out, but split decision. I would expect William Byron to come to pit road. There he is, second car in line. He has to do something to get on a different plan than Blaney and the cars that he just hasn't been able to keep up with yet in the race so far.
Dave.
Chris Buescher took 2 right side tires last time, really didn't help him. He gives up 17 here for a car that's tight in the center. He'll take 4 this time, Kim.
And for Kyle Larson, kudos given by crew chief Cliff Daniels on his use of different lines throughout the course of that run. Parker? Marty?
A critical 0 stage points for William Byron. Beauty Fugel agreeing with Steve, thinking they've got to do something different here. You saw the right side tire change. Byron said it was a little bit better at the expense of the right rear on exit. Still too tight in the center of the corner for Byron.
So again, a lot of the field staying out and keeping that track position. We'll have a restart when we return.
You don't have to be in the race to be in the race.
Here comes the 94.
Introducing the NASCAR Powerball Playoff. 4 finalists will win a trip for 2 to the NASCAR Cup Series championship race at the Phoenix Raceway, with the grand prize winner taking home $1 million. The championship 4 is set. Here are the 4 finalists for the $1 million grand prize. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR, and home to the NASCAR Powerball Playoff.
The race to $1 million is heating up in the NASCAR Powerball Playoff. 4 fans, they're locked in for a chance to win $1 million at NASCAR Championship Weekend. Follow the playoffs, see who advances and who will get cut. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR. Best of luck to Donald, Peter, Stephanie, and Barbara. Already locked in. Sold out crowd here at Martinsville to find out who will be those 4 drivers that will fight for a championship next weekend in Phoenix. Already 2 drivers that have locked in, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson. And Denny Hamlin leading this race, shown above the cut line. Ryan Blaney also above the cut line. And surprisingly, William Byron is below the cut line. Even coming in, he had a pretty sizable lead. He was plus 30 over the cut line. But the way he has been running today and where he's running right now, he is currently below that cut line. Look at all of the traffic he has in front of him after coming to pit road here under this caution. Kyle Busch on pit road as the field comes back to green. Another great start for Hamlin. And a little contact there as the 19 got up into the 12. Blaney able to clear that 19 and hold on to second.
Everybody tries to get down to the bottom of the racetrack, and that presents opportunities for that outside groove if you stay committed to it. Everybody going to the bottom creates a lot of checkups, a lot of bottlenecking into the corner. You on the outside could just drive by all of that, but eventually you need to find that gap, that hole, and get down into that bottom groove.
We saw the 8 on pit road. He had a flat left front tire. That's why he had to come to pit road as the field was coming to green.
Oh, contact.
Byron got up into the 5 there as the 5 was moving up, and once again, everyone fighting for real estate.
These restarts here, they're so difficult. You have to be so aggressive. You see an opening, you have to be willing to take it.
Byron making the move, trying to get by that 17 of Buescher. Using the higher line now. So he's on the outside. The 99 of Daniel Suarez.
It does look good. You know, came to pit road, got 2 tires, and just not really, at this moment, from this view, able to move forward, able to take advantage of that with the cars in front of him. You see this car is uncomfortable. He's trying to get to the bottom. The 45 is going to stop. Not allow that to happen. Get underneath him. He continues to lose spots, Marty.
Just way too free for William Byron. Steve, when I talked to his crew chief, Rudy Fugel, this morning, he said he viewed today as a heads-up battle between the 2014 and Ryan Blaney. Well, in stage 1, that did not work out for Byron. 9 stage points for the 12 team, 0 for William Byron. So almost like a head coach in a game, in the NFL game, Steve. Are you making in-game adjustments and changing the strategy as you go along for William Byron here? Because what they're doing right now is not working.
Well, I like to call the pit and get off strategy with the 12, but unfortunately I don't believe they've made the 24 car much better. They put right side tires on, afraid to lose too much track position. So either the balance with 2 tires, the balance with the adjustments, whatever it is, still under attack. Now the 1 of Ross Chastain going by, the 34 of McDowell right to his bumper, the whole time Blaney running second. It's easy to come in thinking you're safe. Marty, you said it earlier. Kevin Harvick came in here over 40 points to the good in the past and was eliminated. It's easy to say it should be simple for the 24, but you still have to go accomplish the task.
William Byron still mired back in 21st.
The other thing that happens is that when you come in and you feel like you're safe and then you recognize that you're not, it's an instant rush of anxiety. It's an instant reality check. Okay, we are not going to be safe. We are going to have to be better than we are. And it creates a panic almost, Steve, and that's when leadership matters. You got to right the ship. You got to steady everybody and say, let's focus. This is what our goal is. We're going to go make it happen.
Well, you definitely want to steady the ship. The other thing you have to keep in mind is he's currently out with Hamlin leading. It would be the same with Truex leading. And I think that's a real scenario they have to be concerned about. But you can't panic yourself right into a big issue. Kim.
And for Tyler Reddick, the only way they were going to stay out that last caution is if they could get a top 5. Well, too many cars stayed out for them to take that strategy gamble. So they came down, put 4 fresh Goodyear tires on that car, made adjustments too. Tyler said it's still too tight. The entry's not terrible. It's the center they need to fix, but he didn't have a solution for them. He says, I don't know how to fix it. I can't do what I want with this car. So right now that car just disconnected in the center of the corner.
Tyler Reddick, another driver that thinks just
I don't have anything here. Anything.
That was William Byron, Rick, saying, I've got nothing here. I've got nothing right now behind the wheel. Jeff, to your point, you can feel the frustration, not the panic, but the frustration starting to set in the 24 camp down here.
Well, panic is a set of stages, and the first one's frustration, right? And then the next one, if they can't find a solution and they can't find speed, then panic comes next.
So the 24 is still stuck on the outside as McDowell is working his way by him. We'd mentioned the 45.
Oh,
Reddick.
the 45's almost around. Rick, sorry.
It's close.
Yeah. He slid all the way through turns 3 and 4, trying to get around the 5 of Larson. Larson's fading back. And now they're just going to, oh, man, they're beating on the back bumper, that 45 now. You see blood in the water, but that, look at that, it's a bad deal for 24 there. He loses multiple spots, lifting off of turn 2 there.
Stuck on the outside, both the 45 and the 24.
And one step closer to panic.
Yeah, it looks like as soon as they slip this tire, I don't know if the the temperature goes up or what, but it seems like it takes several corners for the tire to calm down and the grip to come back. But there's the 45. He saw him spin out in the same spot in qualifying. Looked almost like that was about to happen again. He gets down in the corner, gets loose, gets up into the 5.
That was a great save.
It was. He had a little practice. And then down in the next several corners, he's still struggling for grip. And this is the 17 trying to get around Bubba Wallace. A little contact there.
Busher got into the curb and shot him up into the 23.
And these guys are trying to sort it out. And the 24 is better than the 45. Has gotten back around him, but they have stacked the field up behind them. It was getting exceptionally aggressive.
All right, Kim, the 45, has he got things settled out?
No, he's not. Now there's an additional problem. He just reported the water temp is getting too hot, so he said he's going to start sticking his nose out to cool it off, get some of that fresh air into the grill of that race car.
You see the 45 of Reddick sending a 3 way up the racetrack in 3 and 4. This is getting physical back here in the back of the pack. All of these cars are the next cars in front of the leader. So they're also not only getting aggravated with each other and trying to stay, keep the track position that they have, which isn't great, but the leader's coming. Leader will be here soon.
What's going to heat up more, the engine or the temper of the driver right now for the 45 and Tyler Reddick? Denny Hamlin's out in front. He has already led 113 laps today at Martinsville. NASCAR Fantasy Live lets you keep tabs on your fantasy lineup throughout the race and allows you to adjust your picks until the end of stage 2, which is still about 94 laps away. Visit NASCAR.com/fantasy, or you can select the fantasy icon on the mobile app leaderboard to make in-race changes. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Xfinity 500 from Martinsville Speedway. Out front, Denny Hamlin has now led over 120 laps. That is now over 1,000 laps that he has led here since his last win. Let's look back at the 45 and 43 here.
The guys just been bouncing off of each other for quite a few laps. 43 into the back of the 45, pushing him up the racetrack, driving underneath him, a little body slam. Eric Jones had been on the outside of Tyler Reddick for many, many laps, and Tyler could not clear him. We're starting to see that. We're starting to see some drivers be able to get on the outside and put some pressure on the guy on the inside, and that's frustrating. When you're at Martinsville and a guy's on the outside, he shouldn't be able to do that in your mind, and it gets very frustrating. You run out of patience.
And you wonder why a guy like Eric Jones, who's not got any playoff implications involved in today, would drive one of the drivers that is trying to race into the playoff, into the championship round like that. But this is always the way this second Martinsville race goes. This has been building up all year long. Drivers are tired of getting pushed around. They've came to terms with whatever their season is, whether it's good or bad. And it doesn't take much to get under a guy's skin today. It's a completely different race than the race we see at Martinsville at the start of the year. This is the one where if you're going to get paid back, or if you're going to get pushed around, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen real easy in this race.
Here's the gap between 1 and 2 now. So Hamlin has a mirror full of Blaney as he cleared Hocevar, but trying to get by the 48, and Alex Bowman moves up the racetrack. But Blaney fills that void right behind Denny Hamlin, so we'll see if Blaney is able to stay right on the back bumper of Hamlin. Dave.
And Rick, his car is still very good as you look at the points as they run on the left at the race ended now, which it's a long way from doing. Denny Hamlin winning would be okay because Blaney would be okay on points. As for the 12 car itself, he said the last adjustment, remember they stayed out last time, but the adjustment before helped the car in stability when he was getting going, just as the green flag comes out. So he told his crew, that's a good direction. Let's stay with that as he keeps Denny in his sights.
The 12 of Ryan Blaney. Again, understanding this is a long race. There are still 326 laps to go.
And Denny's trying to pass one of the drivers that's hardest to pass in NASCAR. Ryan Newman's out here today doing Ryan Newman things in that 51 car, and not going to make it easy on anybody. Ryan still believes he belongs out here, and the opportunities he gets, he tries to make the best of it.
He does a great job. I mean, he really does.
Yeah, I could use a turn.
Sounds like Denny Hamlin's talking about his car could use a little turn. As he's seeing the 12 car get closer, he's motivated to say something to his crew chief about the balance of the car. Now, if you're driving away, you're pretty happy, you're pretty content. You rarely will say, hey, I need this, I need that. But when you see people start to catch you, run you down, you start thinking about what you need to get better.
And Dale, what's interesting about that is Chris Gabehart, his crew chief, under the last caution to stage 1, basically said, hey, I actually jumped you and made an air pressure adjustment to loosen up the center, even though Denny said he didn't quite need that. So Chris Gabehart has been on that, and he said, I didn't want to fall behind the racetrack, so I made that adjustment. Just keep me abreast of what you feel. Well, there you heard it. He's getting too tight in the center. As they update him on what the 12 is doing, they believe the 12 is a little faster to the center of the corner. They're just able to get that car turned compared to the 11.
I mean, a good crew chief goes back, looks at his notes, and he knows which direction this track is going, and he thinks it needs adjustments even if the driver doesn't need it. So if Denny's asking for more turn, that's probably 2x what you were thinking. Remember, Denny Hamlin, as impressive as this is, winning stage 1, leading stage 2, if he gets past, he is out. He doesn't have enough points. So it's not a must-win because we don't know where the 24 is going to finish or the 12. But this performance, compared to Blaney and Byron, still isn't enough for where he came in. It's at this moment, and Denny Hamlin said it this week multiple times, he is treating this as a must-win. I love the attitude from the moment he had an issue in Miami. You saw Chris Gabehart kind of console him on pit road and instantly said, we're looking forward, we need a clock, that's our path forward. I think that's the attitude you're seeing out of the 11.
And Denny Hamlin has been very strong in these playoffs. He's been very confident. He feels like this is his season. He's been a part of the playoffs. He's been a part of the championship four multiple times. But this just seems different for him. And I was with him earlier this week at his charity event, and he still had the confidence that he knew he could still go out and make that championship four. But after what happened last week at Miami, where he had a power steering failure, got into the wall, lost a lot of points, that's why now he's in this position where he has to gain as many points as he possibly can. He did that in the first stage. He gained 10 points. That's all that was available in the stage. He's looking for another 10 if he can win this stage as well. Marty?
Rick, a very similar story for his teammate Martin Truex Jr. Solid so far, sitting in third. Now the pit crew has to help him out. Steve, we've talked about how bad this pit crew has been all playoffs long. Now 2 members on this pit crew. Kevin Jackson is the rear tire changer. Caleb Dirks is now the jack man. And I'm curious, it feels very late in the game for this team. They have not ranked better than 28 the last 4 races on pit road, Steve. What's the dynamic when you bring in 2 new pit crew members in such a pressure-packed situation as this?
Well, I was part of a pit crew swap way back during the race at Texas. We had fallen out. Chad Knaus on the 48 was having a good race, but 4 pit stops, we swapped pit crews, and it propelled the 48 on, really, using that pit crew all the way to the championship. And Marty, I know they're humans, and I know we want to cheer them on in the human element, but they are professional athletes. And no one thinks anything of a quarterback throwing 3 picks gets put to the sideline, or a receiver dropping 2 simple passes, bench him for the next guy. Well, welcome to professional sports. It's uncomfortable, but if you want to move forward out of the round of 8, it can't be about feelings. I commend the change. Something had to be done. The pit stops last week for the 19, I'm not putting it on one person, Rick, but simply just not fast enough to think they were going to advance out of this race.
Well, the car's been fast enough. As we take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap, Martin Truex Jr. turned the fastest lap on lap 3, going around this 1.5 miles in 20.50 seconds, over 92 miles per hour, his average speed. Denny Hamlin continuing to dominate here in his home state, out front at Martinsville. Ryan Blaney is able to move to the outside. He is going for the lead here at Martinsville. Blaney's going to take the lead away, and what does that do to the points? Denny Hamlin now above the cut line, but only by 2. William Byron is still below 2 points back.
Well, I had Hamlin below the cut line if he lost the lead. I didn't think he had scored enough points, but during that situation, William Byron has lost a few more spots on the racetrack, all the way back to 22nd. For that reason, Hamlin is in, but only by 2, even running second. Byron all the way back at 22nd. I think this is the time where they have to now have a clearer picture and say, we have got to find some points, because it's the same issue with Truex, who's running third. He's only a couple points behind Byron. Marty.
Steve, things have not gotten better for the 2014. Listen in on the radio.
I don't have anything to move around with. Just, I don't know what to do, man.
I know. Keep trying your hand, your best you can. See if we can get a guy here. We're gonna do everything we can to stay on the lead lap here, buddy. I know. It freaking sucks, but just fight your ass off for me. I know you're doing everything you can.
Boy, Steve, you can feel it down here in the 24 camp. Concern starting to set in as we approach the end of stage 2. If you're Rudy Fugle, just 3 cars between your driver and the guy who can lap you and put you down a lap. What do you do to bail William Byron out?
Well, you can't bail him out. This is racing. William Byron's out there by himself. Rudy Fugle can't help him until the caution comes out and he can make adjustments. If there's something he could suggest he tries from behind the wheel, then that could help the 24. But what I heard was an honest crew chief, not overselling. It's awful. It's bad. It stinks. I know it stinks. We just have to do the best we can, try to stay on the lead lap. At that point, there's nothing else you can do other than continue to work on this car. We talk about it. We talked about it at the top of the show. We saw it yesterday, Rick. The chaos is coming. It might be a couple hundred laps away, but I assure you there will be some very upset people and a lot of wrecks before this is over.
Yeah, you mentioned already that when we get down to those last 100 laps, it will get chaotic.
It's been some very aggressive moves, and I want to celebrate the pass for the lead. I mean, Ryan Blaney racing with Denny Hamlin. Denny on the bottom, doing Martinsville things. Blaney said, nope, I'm going to do it different. Jumps in the second lane, surprised Hamlin, got alongside him, and now he's got him where he wants him. And that is not a usual pass for Martinsville. Normally the bottom is the preferred way around the racetrack. But this rubber laying down and this new tire Goodyear brought, it is providing some opportunities. Ryan Blaney not afraid to take the chance.
Denny talking about his car getting tighter, and as the rubber gets put down on the track, the balance of the track shifts even tighter. And so when you can get on the outside of a guy who has a tight race car, he is even more limited. Less turn, less ability to rotate the car on the bottom of the racetrack with a car on your outside. Makes that pass easier for the 12 car. Now you have to wonder, the 19 car of Truex in third, running some reasonably good laps. Can Denny Hamlin hang on here? A lot left in this stage. And Denny, only 2 to the good over Byron. If he loses more track position with a tight balance, aero-wise, that's going to get worse and worse, Parker.
Right, Dale, and he hasn't really updated the team on the situation. They just told him sort of the line differences that he had compared to the 12. But one interesting thing, before he got passed by the 12, they actually updated him on where the 24 of William Byron was, telling him that he's about over a straightaway away, meaning that he was that close to lapping the 24 as they go through this fight, only 2 points above the 24, letting him know that they're really struggling. So as he lost the lead here, there's still a lot to play for.
Denny Hamlin running in that second position now after winning stage 1, grabbing those 10 points. That has enabled him to be above the cut line by 2 over William Byron. Now, William Byron's running way back in 22nd. Remember, every position is a point. So if William Byron was to get up to 20th, he would be tied in that point situation because he got those 2 points. That would put him at a tie. So there are so many moves to be made still to determine who this championship 4 will be. But if Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., if they can continue to put these points in their bucket before the end of this race, it's going to help them with that opportunity to make it into the championship 4. But again, 53 laps still before points can be paid at the end of stage 2.
Yeah, the trouble for Byron is that his teammates, if you had the best Hendrick car is Chase Elliott in 11th. And so if you had a teammate running well in the top 5, top 3, maybe it's just some air pressure adjustments that this 24 needs to hook this car up, but really not being able to know for sure exactly what direction to go when you look around and your teammates are also sort of struggling with turn, grip, and what have you. I mean, it's pretty frustrating.
Yeah, a lot of conversation we've been having about the trouble of William Byron, but he's not the only one. Tyler Reddick, we saw that tight battle he had a little bit ago where here is Ryan Blaney to lap him. And coming into this race, Tyler Reddick ran very well here in the spring. Had some confidence, but it has not happened today. And now his opportunity to win a championship could be going away with this 12 car lapping him.
It's been a career year for Tyler Reddick. I mean, 2 wins already on the season after coming over here to 23-11, racing for Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan. He's got a fight on his hands right now as Blaney's going to try to get this pass made and put him that lap down. But you see the statistics, 16 top 10s, 10 top 5 finishes already in 2023. A great season, but the expectations are a lot higher now as we have seen him fight his way into this round of 8 of the playoffs.
This isn't going to be an easy pass. Tyler Reddick is going to fight hard. I don't know if his car is going to allow him to fight, but we've seen this second groove. It's not bad. If he gets up here and has a little more grip than he recognized, he can make this difficult on Blaney.
Blaney still hasn't cleared him yet, Kim. Oh, up into the racetrack, they make contact. An issue with the 12. He got up the racetrack. Let's see if he gets it righted again.
Oh,
more contact made. Blaney might have an issue.
I think they're just banging into each other. They're just racing.
Yeah, I think Blaney's issue is just that short fuse, man. He is always a guy that doesn't take much to get under his skin.
The blue with the yellow stripe flag being shown to Reddick, and I'm sure he didn't want to see that. That's the move over flag.
And that could have been an unfortunate situation had that damaged the 12 in some way, somehow. So let's watch and see how this happens. They get down into turn 3. The 12 locks up the left front. He's trying to save the car from hitting that 45. He's trying to do his best, but he's also got to allow the tire to turn and roll. He can't flat spot the tire and lock it up all the way in there. So he's trying to do a lot of different things there to minimize this situation. Unfortunately, he gets into the 45. We got a spin here with Ryan Newman turned around. Unfortunately, he gets into the 45. They actually had more contact down the straightaway, and now with this yellow.
Well, Tyler Reddick, I believe, is scored as the highest lap down car. He's probably going to get the free pass in this situation to put him back on the lead lap. So the caution comes out at an opportune time for him.
So the 20 car down here in the corner, let's see. It's like a little bit of contact right there, just gets Ryan turned around.
Chris Ravel may not have raced with Ryan Newman enough to know that Ryan Newman's not going to let him live that down. It will come back to haunt him at some point.
All right, Steve, 44 laps still to go on the stage. How important is track position, and how important would 4 fresh Goodyear tires be?
Everyone, I believe, has to come to pit road. 96 laps on these tires. Remember, the leaders pitted just before the end of stage 1. They didn't come back in at the end of stage 1. So nearly 100 laps on the leaders' tires. I believe they're going to have to come to pit road. Kim.
And for Tyler Reddick, he didn't lose his cool during any of that battle with Ryan Blaney. The team just checked in with him, asked him what did he need in the car. He said he's just losing the right rear over the course of the run sideways. He doesn't have much else to say, though. He told me, he did say he felt like he could beat people in the corner when the car was a little bit tighter. They will likely make an air pressure adjustment to alleviate that problem.
Pit road closed this time around. You know, the leaders have 95 laps, 96 laps on their tires. Brad Kozlowski, who did stop at the end of the stage, who's currently running in 10th, he has 75 laps on his tires. That still seems like an excessive amount to think you could stay on the racetrack. I don't think we'll see anybody gamble, but I believe all the leaders are going to be coming down. For William Byron, this is just a great opportunity to make another adjustment, right? Like we said, I don't think stage points are their concern at the moment. I mean, yeah, they wish they could get some, but you can't just wish something into existence. With 42 laps to go, it would have to be a huge swing of events from 22nd into the top 10. I think the most important thing is they are not good. They're 22nd, yet they're still plus or minus a couple points with Hamlin and the same with Truex. So there's so much potential in front of the 24. If they can make that car better, there's 5, 10, 15 points available.
And here they come to pit road. Dave.
Ryan Blaney said, tell the 45, my bad, the rears are gone away, didn't mean to get into him. They need a change on this car going free at the end, Kim.
And for Christopher Bell, your top right of your screen, too tight. He said it started coming to him, though, halfway through the run. He just cannot get off the corners. He's going to stop, put 4 fresh Goodyear tires and their air pressure adjustments. No go fuel, Parker.
They asked Denny Hamlin how much he needs. He said not a ton in terms of center turn there. You see the adjustment in the right rear for the 11. They also said don't get too close to the wall. You were too close last time.
Great shot of Martin Truex Jr. coming into his pit stall. He said he can't get the car pointed in the center. It just washes up. He said, I need my turn back. Now it's up to the pit crew. They came in third. You see one car flash by, 2 cars flash by, but they hold serve here. That was a bit of a drag race. Actually, Truex got a spot there on pit road with those 2 new pit crew members, Rick.
And that #1 pit stall, very important. How about Hamlin's 11 team? Got him in front of Blaney. So now Blaney has fallen back 2 spots from when he came onto pit road. So the pit crew's stepping up for Joe Gibbs Racing as Hamlin and Truex both gaining spots.
They did the monster mash. The zombies were having fun.
Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, the undefeated Michigan Wolverines welcome the Boilermakers of Purdue into the big house. It's Big Ten football on NBC and Peacock. Here comes Saturday night. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, Xfinity 500 on this beautiful fall afternoon in Martinsville, Virginia, just on the south border between Virginia and North Carolina. Huge news for the 19. That #1 stall doesn't mean you can't speed. He got a speeding penalty coming off of pit road, and so Martin Truex Jr. will have to serve that penalty.
Yeah, we've seen this before. So he's in the first stall available to use, which is really what used to be pit stall 2. And you see when he leaves, he stays pretty far left of the 12, which is fine. That's how I would want my driver to leave, but you have to adjust your speed. So this is the 19 pit stall. So as we widen out a little bit, the yellow line to the right, way up here, this is the pit speed line. The other line is a little bit in front of his box here. Well, you see that makes a wedge, right? So it's much farther out here. So pit road speed is calculated on kind of this arc. So it's perfectly fine if Truex goes straight out like this. That's what I would want him to do. You just have to adjust your speed a little bit. Maybe not run 2 red lights. The situation is there is such a strong gear here, these short tracks, that when you step on the gas, soft rear springs, a lot of traction, you can accelerate. We saw Ryan Priest speed from this stall in the spring, now the 19 in the fall. Let's listen in.
I literally only hit 2 red coming out.
Yeah, still got plenty of time here. Get back in it.
Oh, sorry guys. I don't know. I thought I did what I was supposed to there.
So here, I don't want to call it confusion, but Martin, you know, listen, a driver will tell you, oh yeah, I saw 4 reds, I made a mistake. That happens. We're all human, we all make mistakes. You can hear the frustration was like, well, I only did what I thought I was supposed to do. I'm not going to quote whether 2 reds are right or wrong. I don't know how they set their tack. That's not the point. The point is he was too fast, and now he's going to go all the way to the back of the field.
The goal for him now is to stay in the lead lap until the end of this stage. It's be 35 to go, and he dropped the green flag. He has a lot of cars in front of him that did not pit, so he should be able to slice through them.
Hamlin and Blaney making up the front row. 25 to go in stage 2. 35. 35 laps remaining here as Hamlin is able to clear that 12 of Blaney. Now we'll see how hard he fights back. Looking to the inside, Blaney as they go into 3. Blaney to his inside. Fight is on between the 11 and 12.
Little contact right there. 11 up the racetrack. More contact here off turn 2.
Up the racetrack goes the 11. The 12 taking advantage. He'll take the lead.
Denny back to the inside here down the front straightaway, Rick. What a race.
Tries the crossover move. Blaney trying to hold his position on the outside. These two have been the class of the field today.
And look at the difference. As soon as Hamlin's not the leader, and Blaney is, then it's tied in points. That's how important this lead is. It keeps shifting on your bottom left.
William Byron scored in the 20th position right now as they're running. Blaney drops in behind the 11. And just as quickly, now it's Hamlin and Blaney that are above the cut line. But here comes that 12 again.
I thought Blaney backed off in the corner, but Denny just overdrove turn 3, expecting to get run into. Up the racetrack he goes, and now they're going to crossover again. Denny trying to get under him off the corner. Right on that back bumper.
Blaney blocked him.
Oh, man.
Up the racetrack, the 12 goes and opens the door. Once again for the 11, but then closes it again. And now Blaney pulls away over a car length advantage.
What a series, right? That was incredible.
Blaney, Hamlin, Briscoe, Logano, Keselowski, the top 5. What a run for Chase Briscoe already in this race. 231 laps in. Briscoe will be back with Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024. Has not been the year that they were looking forward to. Marty.
Boy, Rick, how about that front row seat Chase Briscoe had for that duel between Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney? Chase told me earlier this weekend, he said, we've had this race circled for a long time. Had one of his best runs of the year here at Martinsville. And to your point, Rick, he said this season has been miserable for us. Not only on the 14 team, but at Stewart-Haas Racing. A good run, maybe even a win, would do so much for our organization here late in the year.
And they put together a good run to start this race. They just have to finish it. We haven't seen good finishes out of the 14. Now you take a look at what's happened to the 19. Martin Truex Jr. mired back here in a lot of traffic. That speeding penalty put him back here. He's running 23rd. As now he'll get to the back bumper of the 24 of William Byron. Tyler Reddick in the 45 on the outside.
This is a great example, though, about the struggles for William Byron, right? You know, the last few races here at Martinsville, it's been no secret that passing has been very, very difficult. And while it's still a challenge, this combination of rules, temperature, and tire guys. I think drivers have more opportunity to pass than they have in any of the next-gen races here, yet Byron can't move forward. Truex, while he's not storming through the field, he is making up spots.
Yeah, definitely a move in the right direction for the short track package in NASCAR. But they need to make the adjustments for this 24. I think that if he can just run a smart race, as chaotic as you predict things will get, Steve, he'll be able to get some track position in the second half of this race just due to damage and attrition, guys taking themselves out.
There's been so many times I've watched Hendrick cars not be great early, but in the last third of the race, they come on. And that's throughout the years I've seen that. I've also seen them just completely dominate. If I'm William Byron right now, I'm going back and I'm remembering Joey Logano's day from the spring. He had an average running position of 21st. He finished second. He never gave up. They kept trying. They tried different strategy. They ended up with a good finish. There is a pathway forward for William Byron.
He's got a lot of opportunity in front of him as he runs 20th. Every position is a point. But right now, it's Ryan Blaney out in front at Martinsville. "13 laps remain in stage 2. And again, 2 spots available for the championship for Ryan Blaney. Trying to lock up one of those spots as he is out front and hopefully gaining the 10 points at the end of stage 2. Top 10 all earned stage points. And right now, 2 playoff drivers running 1 and 2, Blaney and Hamlin. As they're running, they are above the cut line. Did you see that? The tie right now between Hamlin and Byron, if it ends in a tie, the tiebreaker would go to William Byron between those two unless Hamlin is able to finish above William Byron's best finish of 4th. So a lot of things come into play, but we won't worry about that until we get closer to the finish. Dave.
talked to crew chief Jonathan Hassler about the 12 team this morning. Do they have an eye at all toward Phoenix? And Jonathan told me, honestly, I do not. I haven't been able to get out from underneath Martinsville as much as I'd like to. I have a team working on a car that we would need if we make the championship 4 heading to Phoenix. But he told me right now I've got to do just Martinsville. I think his time management right now has been a 10 out of 10 based on that, Parker.
And Davis, this heavyweight battle between Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin continues here at Martinsville. The 11 team has been keeping Denny abreast of what he could be doing differently in that car compared to the 12. Most recently, they told him to work on his brake bias. It looks like you have some margin to the 12 car in entry, meaning maybe he can just gain a little bit on the 12 car. Since then, he's gained about 2/10, Marty.
Parker, after the speeding penalty, Martin Truex Jr. with one of the better cars in the field has gained exactly 5 spots on this 20-lap run. So, Steve, coming to pit road, James Small told Truex everybody will pit once again at the stage. How do you get that track position back if you're James Small for Martin Truex Jr.? Would you consider not stopping here at the end of the stage coming up in 8 laps?
Well, I'm not sure everyone's going to pit. When I look at the 11's lap times, he hasn't slowed down very much at all. If James is right and everyone is going to pit, then you could stay out and cycle to the front and hope you get fortunate with some yellows. I think that's their best opportunity. I mean, right now they're kind of stuck all the way back at 22nd. It's going to take a little bit of a gamble now that, you know, half the race is behind us, 247 laps to go.
And those of you that are putting your fantasy lineups together, you have about 6 laps to make a change. If you want to bring your garage driver out and put him into your lineup, it has to be done before the end of stage 2, as Truex continuing to fight to get positions, but running in the 22nd spot.
Jeff, I have to give it to you. I watched practice yesterday. I wasn't on the coverage. You guys did a great job of telling me how good the 12th car was, but I wasn't sure I was all in. I thought track would rubber up even more. The balance would change. You know, I had all my notes from past Martinsvilles and how you don't want to be great in practice and all of these different storylines. But the 12 was good yesterday, and you were absolutely right. He has shown up again today.
Well, a lot can happen. The track's going to continue to rubber up, and they're going to have to keep up with the racetrack, Steve. The checkered flag is not now. It's a long way away.
Behind him, the 11 of Denny Hamlin has closed in a little bit in traffic. Let's listen in.
It's going to be tight versus the 24 on points. We're not going to beat the 12 on points, but I can't tell you that we won't beat the 24. So if you can get it, get it.
So that's good information. You know, basically, hey, the guy in front of you is having a great day. That's who they actually needed to have the worst day was Blaney. He was the closest in points. He isn't. He's having a monster day. So the 24 is the car that it's going to be very close on. And I'll say this again, currently 20th. You think that's a good thing. But the problem is they're tied in points with Hamlin running second. The only better he can do is win, and that's an automatic, right? Byron 20th. There's a lot of opportunity for Hamlin to go back and Byron to go forward just from the natural progression of racing. So I think the mindset continues. For Hamlin, it's another grandfather clock. That's the pathway forward.
Well, the other issue for Hamlin right now is that 14 to Chase Briscoe. They have got great speed. Every Stewart-Haas car right now is running 11th or better. So really good speed from SHR, and Briscoe is hungry, and he is right on Hamlin's bumper.
Last lap of stage 2. See Briscoe a little up the racetrack there. Hamlin running in that second spot. But Blaney is going to try to grab these 10 points, the stage points, get a little closer to that championship 4. Ryan Blaney, his 4th stage win here, 6th in 2023. He will win the stage. Hamlin grabbing 2nd. So the playoff drivers that needed points, Blaney and Hamlin, getting 10 and 9 respectively on this Halloween weekend. Right now, the performance is looking very good for Ryan Blaney. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR is brought to you by Sonic. Sonic. Credit One Bank, a credit card company. And by Toyota. Let's go places. Unseasonably warm, a little over 80 degrees here in Martinsville, Virginia. And take a look at the points that have been earned today. Denny Hamlin came in under the cut line. He has gained 19 points. Blaney also gaining 19 points through the first 2 stages of this race. So those two helping their cause to try to get to that championship for next weekend. We know for sure one driver is going to get in based on points, and so that's why these guys have been grabbing as many as they can.
And from what I've seen so far today, I think it might only be one. An impressive battle between Hamlin and Blaney. Now it's decision time on top of the pit box. You heard Marty talk about James Small. What is his option for a car that was just speeding? You know, enough laps on the tires, 36, and I think pitting could be an option, but I like track position. I would probably stay out. It looks like it's going to be split at the front of the field. The 12, the 11 stay out. The 14 comes to pit road.
So a split field making their way onto pit road, and we'll start with Dave.
The 12 stayed out. That is Ryan Blaney. Those 50-lap tires will be on the car just a little bit tighter that time. Chris Buescher in the 17, tighter that time, needs more center turn, Parker.
And Dave, you see there the 11 stayed out. They used a code word. He looked at his sheet inside the car, and they yelled it right at him as he got to pit road. The 11 stayed on track, Marty.
0 stage points for William Byron today. He said, entry is where you can help me the most. I need more security on initial throttle and on exit. The rears are chattering. That covers the entire corner here at Martinsville. James Small, Steve, did think about staying out on the racetrack, but Martin Truex Jr. said the car is just so much different in traffic. He said it was, quote, weird. And there they dropped the jack again. Again, a new jack man here on the 19 team. They were already in the back of the field. They're going to lose a couple more spots on this stop.
Well, you know, it is only a couple more stops, but those 5 positions he gained, it was 30 laps worth of work. Now you're just going to give them all up over again. Just a calamity of errors on the 19 car, which has really been the story of their playoffs. They were hoping this would be the turn of events. 234 laps to go to turn it around for Martin Truex Jr.
With so much on the line, the crowd here at Martinsville definitely getting their money's worth, as we have seen great racing up front and all the way through the field. The most recent issue, though, Steve, as we look at the pit crew of the 19 Martin Truex Jr., the jack drops on them, and any spots he had gained during that little run, he gave back up again.
Speeding put him behind this week. Changes were made to a tire changer and the jack man. Once again, a slow pit stop. It wasn't a huge penalty because they were near the back, but a penalty still the same. And now we have this split up front. We have 9 or 10 cars who have stayed on the racetrack with some of the leaders, guys. Hamlin and Blaney are a part of this. New tires in 9th or 10th. So Dale Jr., do you want to be defending on old tires or attacking on new?
If I got that track position leading the race, I don't want to give it up. Blaney has it, and he's been doing an awesome job all day long. And I hope that, you know, those guys out front, they know what they're doing. They know they need that track position.
Yeah, I do not want to give up a track position, but at the same time, there are new tires not far behind. I don't think I want them that close to me.
Green flag back in the air as we're underway with the final stage. Blaney on the inside. Hamlin fighting on that outside. New players into the picture as contact is made into turn 3. Blaney's able to hang on to it, but Hamlin already roughing him up.
Denny was trying to get in behind the 12 and just misjudged it, clipping the right rear quarter panel down the back straightaway. And man, it took a while for that 12 to settle down.
We've seen the frustration out of Blaney.
I think just a simple mistake by Denny. Obviously, a lot on the line here, so you gotta. It's a game of inches. It's just a misjudgment there. Now Denny's under attack. His teammate on the outside here in the 54, trying to take away that second position.
You see what happened? Good battle into turn 1. All that's good.
Oh, we got a spin.
Spin going through 3 and 4, and the 54 of Ty Gibbs is around. He was running up in the top 5, and now some cars parked down there in the middle of 3 and 4.
22 dumped us, and then we got piled into the right rear.
All of that was continuing to happen. The 54 got to the outside of Denny Hamlin, and then Denny was trying to get the position back. The 54 tried to get in behind Denny. A big checkup, chain reaction, contact down into 3, gets the 54 spun around. So let's take a look here. Down the back straightaway, 54 trying to get in this hole right here. Joey. Wow. Joey Logano just got in the back of the 54 and never let up. Big contact there with Daniel Suarez sliding into that.
I mean, the 54 Gibbs came down the racetrack to protect the bottom, but that was not an aggressive block at all by Ty Gibbs. That is something that we see every time we come to Martinsville, and Joey Logano just wasn't having it. If I'm Ty Gibbs, I am not happy with that. Now, I don't know what happened before. Maybe something happened and Logano was upset at him, but that was some rough driving by Logano.
Keselowski might have gotten the worst of it all. But again, this was how Blaney got so out of shape. The 11 getting into the back of him.
I'm going to tell you, Ryan Blaney is busy inside that race car with kind of that tank swap getting into turn 3.
And we'll have a restart, which means they're going to be right next to each other again. So it tightens everybody back up. Unfortunate for, as I mentioned, the 6 of Brad Keselowski, the 99 Daniel Suarez.
So I think it's a great time to take a pause and understand where we are after 2 stages awarded. On the bottom left, you remind everyone, Bell and Larson are in. Blaney currently leading, Byron +4 over Hamlin. So there's a couple battles going on, and they really all concern Blaney, Byron, and Hamlin. That's the situation with Reddick and Truex kind of in the back. It starts with this. If you win, you advance, everything's great. Through 2 stages, points awarded, Byron is 1 point ahead of Ryan Blaney. So if you think about that, it really comes down to who can score how many points if we don't have a new winner. Denny Hamlin is still a ways behind. So Denny Hamlin is still the guy that on the outside looking in. You see it. He's -5 to Byron, running 2nd with William Byron running 15th. So it's the same story over and over again. Denny Hamlin can get in on points, but he has to be thinking must win. William Byron is just looking for a recovery. And for Blaney, if he isn't the leader, then it becomes a very tight points battle between Blaney and Byron as well. So a lot to still happen here with 225 laps to go. And for Reddick and Truex, they need some help. They need a recovery. I mean, Reddick's all the way up to 7th. You see it's just not doing enough in the points. The 19 of Truex, Marty, up to 21st. But I think they still also, with their lack of stage points, have to be thinking win.
Yeah, Steve, the regular season champ is on the ropes here at Martinsville, minus 30 below the cut line. They debated on staying out like we did under that last caution, but James Small explained to Martin why he wanted to pit. Listen.
At this point, unless a miracle happens and we manage to stop passing a bunch of people, that might be our only shot if it does go green, to at least run long and trap people down. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Steve, 224 laps to go. There's a long way to go today here at Martinsville, but that's what James Small is thinking. Put those fresh tires on that last stop, run as long as they can, hope to catch a caution.
Well, and it comes down to when those cautions are, right, Marty? If they catch it perfect, I think it could be to their advantage. But if it's anything like yesterday's race, Dale Jr., you called it, right? We were talking about should we pit or should we stay out in the Xfinity Series race as we see the 99 of Suarez limping his car around. And in that final stage of 130 laps, we only saw about 70 laps of racing, right? 60 laps of yellow. We haven't seen that out of this next-gen car. But with the high heat today and these new Goodyear tires, it wouldn't shock me if we see more yellows.
That right there is what, we're now beyond halfway in this race, and that wreck right there is a little bit of what we expect to see throughout the remaining laps, right? A couple cars were eliminated right there, right? 1 or 2 points for that 24. If he's not good enough to pass anybody and cars in front of him continue to get knocked out of the race, then that's exactly what they need to be paying attention to. That's what they need to be telling William. Hey, look, these kind of things is what we have to avoid. Let's not be part of these crashes, but let's take advantage of the attrition it creates. And there was a big situation there on the racetrack where a lot of cars were stopped on the track. I would argue for those positions if you don't stop on the racetrack. And so, that was a pretty chaotic little series of events right there. But if this continues, right, if this energy continues, certainly we should get many more yellows in the last 100 laps or so. That's how this 24 car goes through. Even without improving the car, even without really doing much about how bad the car drives and going forward in the field, just trying to take advantage of the chaos in front of them.
All right, Dave, how about the 12 and Ryan Blaney?
It was a nice save, wasn't it, Rick, after he had the contact with the 11. This was his view.
Yeah, I don't think the 11 meant to do that. I think he just time. Like trying to get down behind me while I was shifting.
Yeah, that's what it was like. Like, once he got on you and hit you, he just kind of gave you a little room, and then you were just how you rolled back under you.
Oh, good. Caught me right when I was shifting. It kind of scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, me too.
Caught him right when he was shifting, so there was a lot going on there. Again, nice save by Blaney. He hangs on to the lead, Parker.
Right, David, that was Denny's thought that the 12 actually lifted. They looked at the data and said he was dragging brake, which Denny said, if he wants to play games, I've got nothing to lose. And under the last caution before this, the team gave him that verdict. Take a listen.
We're certainly in the game against them. We have to win to beat the 12, obviously.
I'm not counting on points. I'm going to do everything I can to win. Everything.
Yeah, that's for me too. Damn, I 1 o'clock already, I'm telling you.
And there it is. It's quite simple for the 11 team. Go after the win here. They want that clock at Martinsville. It'll be the 6th one for Denny Hamlin if he can get it done. Just a little tight in that race car when they refired here. He said they told him to use all his tricks if he can.
Warm afternoon, and things are heating up on the track as well. Logano aggressively into the back of the 54. That creates about a 4-car pileup. let the Pods crew handle your next move and save up to 25% during their holiday sale. Go to pods.com to get up to 25% off and see why Pods has been trusted with 6 million moves. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, Xfinity 500 from Martinsville Speedway, the oldest short tracks in all of racing, as we get ready for another restart after this caution, which was the 5th.
You know, we heard a lot of conversation between the 11 and the 12 about how hard they're racing. The only thing I would put out there, the small little asterisk, is the 12 of Ryan Blaney is pretty secure in on points, even if the 11 wins. So I never want to just give up a win, but at some point in these next couple hundred laps, you might want to understand what's valuable to the 11 versus what's valuable to Blaney.
That's information that the driver will need as they continue on with this one. Blaney on the inside, Hamlin on the outside, back to green. Logano, how aggressive does he get? We saw what he did to the 54 just moments ago. Well, he's right there in the 22 running third. Still side by side for the lead as Hamlin trying to fight on that outside line.
I know they had some contact, but we heard Ryan Blaney understanding that he feels like Denny didn't do anything intentionally. So as hard as these guys have raced today, it has been a thrill to watch. They're going to continue down here into turn 1.
And with that, when Blaney's out front, Hamlin is out. So Hamlin is now 2 points, 3 points out of that championship 4. That's why the mentality for that 11 team is, we got to go out and win this race.
See that blue and white car on the outside of Ryan Preece? He is the first car on 4 tires.
Important here for Harvick.
Preece has a great pace this weekend. We know he's led laps here at this racetrack before. See if he can make those 4 tires work. Not real happy with the outside there, so he's going to slide in behind his teammate Eric Almirola in the 10. Eric making the announcement he's not coming back to the Cup Series next year. Not sure what that means. He may have some announcements later about what his future is, what the next chapter is. Having a pretty solid day today at Martinsville.
Stuart Haas has been strong here today, as we've seen, as you mentioned. Almirola running in that 8th spot. Preece is right there in 10th. Harvick looking ahead as he runs 11th.
You have to think about Harvick and knowing he's running these final few laps in a Cup car in Martinsville. There's tracks that you love, and when you come to them for the last time, start thinking about that in the second half of this race. You're not going to be in competition anymore doing what you're doing out there. Trying to soak it in and enjoy it. He's having a good run as well. There's that 19 of Truex trying to work his way through the field. Right there behind the 24 Byron.
You see how fragile it is for William Byron Lindley, 4 points above Hamlin. He liked having his teammate, the 9, behind him. I think Chase was kind of being a good, polite teammate. Truex not going to be as polite. He needs to get going.
Marty, how's that 24 doing now? We've seen him kind of plateau and not move forward. Are they feeling any better about this car?
Car handling a little bit better, Rick, but that's not going to be enough. The moment to go into that last caution, Junior, you were talking about it. They need to spell out to William Byron what he needs to do in this race. Rudy Fugle told him if anyone from below the cut line before the race, like Denny Hamlin, wins today, you have to beat Ryan Blaney straight up. You have to pass the 12 car, which is going to be a tall task because Blaney's out front right now. But if Blaney wins, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, according to Rudy Fugle, 18th or better. That's all William Byron needs to do, and he's in the championship 4.
And he's running 16th right now. So Denny Hamlin running 2nd. If he doesn't win this race, that would put the driver of the 24 into the championship 4. Pods on board giving us this shot as he looks on with Ross Chastain in front of him. Not a lot has been said about the 5 of Kyle Larson, and Larson currently running in the 7th spot, Kim.
Yeah, I got that spot due to strategy call, stayed out during that last caution and cycle of stops. And I asked crew chief Cliff Daniels what they have to gain today since they won at Vegas and already locked themselves in the championship for it. And he just said, we cannot sleep for a week and expect to show up and win a championship. We still have to execute like it is a race we need to win or have a solid top 5. So Dave, right now, Kyle Larson in the 7th position.
Kim getting a lot of pressure from Eric Almirola, and the retirement was mentioned, retirement from full-time. Drew Blickensderfer, the crew chief, told me that was not a real surprise because we expected him to pull back. But we know we have a good car today, long run especially, and we think that the 10 could be at the front of the pack at the end of today, Kim.
Well, for Christopher Bell running in the 9th position, again, they already are locked into the championship 4 with their win last week, and they felt good about their car coming into the race today. Well, the balance has just not been there for Christopher. Right now, he's saying it's too tight. It starts to come to him, though, halfway through that run, but he cannot get off the corners like he wants to, Parker.
And Kim, running behind him is the 41 of Ryan Preece, having a great top 10 run here today. But, you know, he told me my goal today is to go win. He's already run a race here this week. He won a modified race on Thursday here with his whole 41 crew, including crew chief Chad Johnson. They worked on that car over the week. They showed up and they won. The pit crew that pitted it was Cole Custer's Xfinity pit crew. So a whole Stewart Haas modified win for them there in the 41 car. Then behind him, Kevin Harvick in the 4 cars, last run at Martinsville here in the Cup Series, having a solid run. They've had good pace in that car, especially on the long run, but it builds a little loose, just too loose late in the run on exit, trying to get that power down, Dave.
Crew chief Scott Graves trying to keep Chris Buescher, playoff driver, in this game. He currently drives 12th. He reminded him that he is one of the cars up in this group that stopped for 4 fresh Goodyear tires. He is making a little progress, picked up a couple on the last run. On this last restart, has picked up 1 more spot, Rick.
Yeah, we've seen Buescher running outside of the top 20 as well as Tyler Reddick, but those two have turned things around to where Buescher running in the 12th spot, Reddick running 6th, but both of them are in kind of a must-win situation, and so they're both fighting for every spot that they can get and trying to get toward the front. Right now, it's Blaney who's been out front as the caution comes out. We see Ty Gibbs and that 54. The flames coming out of the pipes until he can refire it.
Get it rolling.
There he goes.
He was having such a great day. Got shipped into turn 3 by Logano. And now this problem.
So that's the 6th caution that's come out. Steve, with 197 laps to go, what are we thinking about strategy?
Well, the leaders are out there on 60-lap tires. The ones who had already pitted, we just heard that report about Buescher. You know, he only has about 22 laps on his tires. This is where this final stage gets to be so difficult. I don't think anybody can quite make it on fuel from this point, not that you want to run 200. I think the leaders, Blaney and Hamlin and Bubba Wallace, are going to have to consider coming to pit road right here, but I think if you're Truex or Byron, this is maybe the stand you have to take. This is the moment where you have to do the opposite of those leaders. If they come to pit road, you might have to stay out. We'll see if all the crew chiefs agree. For sure, we're going to have some pitters. I'm just not sure if it's going to be from the front of the field or the back of the field. I think we are going to have split decisions.
Harrison Burton is going to end up getting the free pass. He was the highest scored lap down car, running 27th.
You see right there. So the leaders decide to keep that track position. Kyle Larson says, all right, I'm going to be the first to pit. He wants to get on the offensive. The 19 of Truex, last minute decision to stay on the racetrack. And you see cars that come behind him.
And here's Kyle Larson in that 5 car, still tight through the center. Does need a little bit help with that. They will take 4 fresh Goodyear tires with a slight air pressure adjustment. Sunoco fuel, Dave.
Chase Elliott says the car is okay. I just haven't been able to go anywhere in traffic. Just haven't felt like I've had the speed to pass on this racetrack. He'll get 4 and leave.
So the caution comes out for the 54 of Ty Gibbs. As we watch these cars that chose to come to pit road under this caution. Looks like Ty Gibbs again, a little bit of help. This time it was Carson Hocevar that got in the back of it. Sunday night football. The Chicago Bears are in Los Angeles facing the Chargers, and coverage beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern for Football Night in America on NBC and Peacock. Chicago, that big win last week over the Raiders. And of course the Chargers, 3 of their 4 losses. They've been by 3 points or less, so they've been close, but it doesn't help too much as we take a look at the keys to victory brought to you by Ruoff Mortgage.
Well, mistakes. Try not to make any and take advantage of others. There's going to be more pressure in the last 190 laps. If your championship competitors make a mistake, capitalize.
You got to have patience. You know, I mean, especially in this part of the race, everybody's pretty much out of patience. You need a little help from your spotters, your crew chief to try to keep your head on straight.
When are you going to make your last pit stop? We saw right there some guys pitted a little bit ago. They were not able to make gains.
See the 6 behind the wall, and they had come to pit road. They were involved in that accident earlier, but fire roaring out from underneath the 6 of Keselowski.
Yeah, I can't tell if this is an engine expiring. It seems like an awful lot of smoke out of the exhaust. The fire for sure is a concern. Let's take a look at exactly what happened between Hocevar and Ty Gibbs.
Ty Gibbs maybe moves him out of the way right here. Pretty simple. Martinsville racing. Now we're going to go down into turn 1. Hocevar is going to go into the back. And watch this. I'm going to hook you. Wow. And we know that Hocevar has a habit of doing that. And I think he's trying to work on it. But when you come into the Cup Series and do that, you're going to get some hard lessons from these guys. Because, you know, there's not a lot of people going to stand up to you in the Truck Series or Xfinity Series. But this Cup Series is a little bit different.
Carson Hocevar is actually battling for a Truck Series championship next weekend in Phoenix. That's where he runs full-time for points. Coming up on 190 laps remaining from Martinsville. Blaney on the inside, Hamlin on the outside, and Bubba Wallace and Logano making up row 2. Again, the driver of the 11 is also the co-owner of the 23, the car that's on his inside. Co-owner with Michael Jordan.
Then he's got to be careful here. Doesn't want to lose a lot of track position. That car's still a little bit on the tight side balance-wise. Wants to stay up here in his top 2, top 3. Keep the clean air on the front. Keep the car turning.
Logano running back there in the 5th spot with Austin Cindric just in front of him in 4th. So Penske well represented here with Blaney out front, Cindric running 4th, Logano is 5th. Nose to tail now. See all the way back through Briscoe and Gilliland. Busher with Briscoe on the outside. Priest slides in behind Reddick. And 2 Stuart Haas. Cars running nose to tail there with Priest and Harvick. Steve, when you bring your driver to pit road, if you didn't come under this most recent caution?
Well, at this point, I think everybody's waiting to get inside their fuel window, which is about 160 laps, so 25 laps from now. And that's really going to be the stretch. That's one of our keys to victory is when you come to pit road on this final stage. And how many times, you know, track position still seems to be king as Blaney and Wallace Hamlin control the front of this field. You see Truex kind of stuck back here in 16th, trying to recover. I would say doing an okay job. And right behind him, though, Larson, who's now full of feeling on fresh tires, he might be in the best position. If this runs long, just how much room the 5 can make, or if we have another quick yellow, he probably could stay out and get some track position.
Byron there on the inside of Todd Gilliland.
Yeah, William gave him a little bit of a shot down at 3 and 4 to get him up off the bottom of the racetrack and try to get underneath this 38. Todd's had a great run today. This 38's ran up in the top 20 for most of the race. Done a good job, had good speed. Trying to fight. Running around cars that he usually doesn't run with all year, and trying to earn that respect.
Gilliland running in the 14th position. And Byron just in front of him, Marty.
Rick, yes, that is 13th for William Byron. Honestly, crazy to say with 181 to go. The best they have run all day long. And Byron echoed that a moment ago to Rudy Fugle, his crew chief.
That was way better. We still need a little bit of entry. My drive is good. I'm pretty connected. I just need a little bit more entry. That adjustment was really powerful for the entry. It was really good.
Steve, when your driver tells you that was a powerful adjustment, you like that as a crew chief. It also helps Ryan Blaney is leading. That means Byron on the right side of the cut line, but finally some hope in the 24 camp with the race car.
Yeah, gave me some adrenaline as a crew chief. Any adjustment that was powerful enough that the driver, you know, kind of gives you that sort of feedback. That's what Rudy Fugle's been looking for. He's been turning knobs all day. Now he's found one that can adjust what he's looking for. He's going to have at least one more stop, if not a couple more from here. Just how much farther forward can this 24 get?
Pretty wild right here. It's one car, Chastain, the 5, the 19 of Truex waving. He's like, somebody's cutting him a break out back, because it's been nothing but bumper cars with this 5 and this 1 right here. And Truex is sort of waiting for this to sort out.
How long will the patience play off? That was another one of the keys, and around goes one car. Looks like the 34. And so Michael McDowell spins and brings the caution out.
Yeah, that 5 and the 1 battle had a whole line of cars sort of checked up. And a lot of guys trying to be careful, trying to stay off each other, and just run out of patience and time there.
You know, you think about the first few races with this car at this racetrack, you could hardly spin anybody out. They figured out how to do it now. There's been a lot of contact with cars going around. You see right here in the corner, almost looked like, you know, he just ran out of room, like just a typical Martinsville deal. The 34 of McDowell didn't give him much room at all.
Yeah, McDowell ran him a little tight. Once the contact was made, the 43 turns right to save himself, right? Up the track, and then turns the 34 around.
Now, Steve, you get to decide what to do.
Oh, I think at this point, you know, I'm coming to pit road. I'm coming, which could be the last time for the day if I think I can make it on fuel. Just in case this thing continues to cycle in short runs, I may never come again. I don't think I want to run 176 laps. Now, if I don't think I can make it on fuel, I would stay out. But and I think I'm in my window probably with caution. So I expect to see the leaders finally throw the towel in and say it's time to come to pit road. We'll see if they agree.
Sure enough, and the 12 gets the first pit stall, Dave.
Jonathan Hassler, crew chief, said that wasn't quite what we needed, but Brian Blaney said we maybe should go 50 more. They said, nope, let's do it now. 4 tires and fuel.
And for Tyler Reddick, he said loose in and tight center, no drive off. He told his crew it's just not good enough to get off the corner. Crew chief Billy Scott said we'll help that with a little bit air pressure adjustment. Parker?
And for the 11 team, this could be the most important stop of the day. An adjustment there in the right rear. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires for Denny Hamlin, this 11 team, Marty.
Another shot at the handling of the 24 car for Rudy Fugle. William Byron said just a little bit too free in, but the exit is still good. The drive off, really happy with that. He also said it's really hot in the car. Martin Truex Jr. on pit road. He agreed with you, Jr. He said it's bumper cars back here in traffic. Too tight on the exit of the corner for Truex.
Gas only for a couple guys. Almirola and Larson gaining a lot of spots, and 2-tire stop for Briscoe gaining some too. less than 175 laps to go. How'd we get here? Martin Truex Jr. started on pole, and it was a great battle with teammate Denny Hamlin early on.
Then it was Denny Hamlin who ran his teammate Martin Truex Jr. down, went by, took the lead, and went on to win stage 1.
Tyler Reddick struggling big time. Contact with Eric Jones.
And then later, the 12-car Blaney finally makes his way up to the front, goes around the outside of Denny Hamlin for the lead. Then contact as he's trying to lap Tyler Reddick.
And then a big blow for the championship. Chances of Tyler Reddick to join the championship 4. Speeding on pit road, Rick, big issue.
Actually, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. there was speeding as we see the 12 win stage 2.
And Martin Truex Jr. troubles on pit road again. Jack falls, losing positions.
Then that contact after the restart where the 11 got in the back of the 12 a little bit loose. And now after the, it looks like we might have an issue with our pace car.
Yeah, it's pulled up to the top of the racetrack, and now it's starting to move here. I'm not sure exactly what was going on. They're struggling to get the car to move. We have a cleanup truck pacing the front of the field, so we have that under control. But, yeah, it just pulls up to the top. I don't know.
And these drivers are they're trying to figure out what to do because they have to follow the pace car.
I mean, Chase is like, I don't want to pass you, but man, right. I don't think I'm allowed to stop right here.
Hey, you said before the race that we would see things we've never seen before. All right, here we go.
Oh my, now we're really seeing something.
Oh, this is so good right here. This is.
Can they not just push it with another truck or?
It's a good looking car.
We're going to put it on display.
Marty.
Rick, you got to love the Martinsville fans. They're literally in 1 and 2 cheering the tow truck about to tow the pace car. That's a new one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely something we haven't seen for quite some time. But the crowd having some fun with it.
Hey, fall race in Martinsville, you never know what you're going to see.
Anything can happen.
Yes.
The 3, the 48, the 51, and the 77 all speeding on pit road this last time. Grandstands in the shades now on the front stretch. And Parker.
Well, as we run these extra pace laps here, this is actually helping a bunch of teams that were really tight on fuel here as we have 170 laps to go. Some of those that stayed out, some that just had short stops on pit road, didn't get it fully full. So some of the teams I'm listening to here are saying this is helping them get to the end of this race fuel-wise. Could change the clutch a little bit.
So I believe we have a second pace car, and they'll swap the driver into the backup pace car.
Backup pace car, of course you have a backup
there it is.
pace
There's a backup pace car. So hopefully, I mean, let's get this show on the road. Let's get the race going here.
We saw a year ago Ross Chastain do something that we had never seen before in NASCAR when he ran the wall and ended up gaining 5 spots and advancing into the championship 4. Now the pace car has been swapped out for the backup as we get ready for the restart. A couple different cars up front here with Chase Elliott and Corey LaJoie bringing the field back to the green. So much still on the line.
Top 3 cars pitted on lap 305.
Two spots remain for the championship 4. Right now they're held by the 12 of Blaney and the 24 of William Byron. You see the points on the lower left of your screen.
And this is the first time.
Contact! 10 car up the racetrack. He and the 43 of Eric Jones got together.
Eric Jones been pretty aggressive today. I don't know if this is going to be over with.
The 5 into the back of Eric Jones now.
Almirola's upset. The 43's upset. Maybe the 5's even upset.
And 3 wide, deeper in the field.
Yeah, Blaney's part of that 3 wide back there. As we continue to look at the battle right there inside the top 10.
He's being reminded how nice it was up front.
Here's Blaney, that's trying to sort itself out. Here's Denny trying to get down into the corner. Underneath his teammate. we'll call him a teammate, Bubby Wallace. And Denny sees all this in front of him. He's like, oh no, just get me through here.
Yeah, 34.
Oh, Bubba had to get out of the gas, more contact. Bubba got squeezed into the wall on the outside there.
Priest gets into the back of him again. Steve, you had said it was going to be under 100 laps, but apparently under 170 laps, it gets a little chaotic.
Well, it's a little chaotic, but everybody's still going straight. I still think there's a couple notches that are going to turn it up still, but we knew the field was going to be mixed up, and here it is.
Denny underneath the 47 now. Trying to move forward. You got to move forward, but trying to do it carefully, trying to do it smartly here. And Blaney loves it. He's like, 11's making the hole. I'm just going to follow him through. Denny's having to do the hard work of getting these cars up off the bottom of the racetrack.
Still a little bumping and banging here as we see Bell and the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. trading a little paint. Crossover move out of Cindric behind these two. Bubba Wallace still stuck on the outside.
He's putting up a big fight, though. He is not quitting. We've seen all day this outside it's not bad. If the guys on the bottom start banging into each other to get checked up, it allows you to roll around some of them.
Saw Priest get into the back there of the 34 of McDowell. Bubba got in the wall a little bit here as he went high, and it was 3 wide coming out of the turn. Right there. So Chastain. Yeah, he got into the back of the 34, moves him up the racetrack.
Sure did.
Yeah, he's been really aggressive. When he gets to you, he's going to hit you. And now McDowell's like, hey, buddy. Well, McDowell's actually pretty calm there.
But Bubba might not be, and he's right behind the 34.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Chastain knew it was coming, and he sailed it down in there to keep from getting hit. And behind this, there's William Byron. He has gotten by Tyler Reddick. Tyler, just a big struggle today.
It was just 1 year ago when we saw something that we never thought we would see. And here is the big move presented by Pods Moving and Storage. We do have to go back to a year ago when we saw Ross Chastain do something that he had to do to get into the championship four. He was behind the 11 of Denny Hamlin by 2 points going into that last lap. He was able to make up 5 positions on the racetrack, and that secured a spot in the championship four for him a year ago.
Still doesn't look real a year later. Like, you think it's been edited. And what a great job this team did. They designed a paint scheme and a helmet scheme where the right side was kind of already marred up like it had rode the wall. Trackhouse, Ross Chastain, you see moves on the hood. They've leaned into what happened a year ago. Just really well done by the whole organization. And what a move. I mean,
well, it was outlawed now.
Yeah.
After he did it, NASCAR said, you know what, we can't do that again.
Yeah, I mean, it was outlawed. He was going almost 100 miles an hour faster than the cars on the inside. There's a great look at the helmet that's painted that way on purpose, like it rode the wall. You know, there's an access gate over on turn 4. It worked, and I'm going to give him the credit. It was amazing. Yeah. But I'm thankful we're not going to see it time and time again. It makes that one even more special, and then it doesn't put these drivers in a situation where they have to do that at the end of these races.
And when we asked Ross Chastain about it after the move was made, he said, I wouldn't do it again. And he brought that up again this week when he was asked about it. Would you do it if it was legal again? And he said, no, I would not do it again, knowing the danger that's involved. A little bumping there out of the 11 of Hamlin, trying to get Briscoe up the racetrack to take that spot. Those two fighting for the 7th position. Right now, the championship 4 has the 12 and the 24 in there, but it's Chase Elliott out in front here at Martinsville. Playoff drivers all fighting for a spot in the championship 4. Well, that weekend is coming up next weekend in Phoenix, and it all starts with the Xfinity Series on Saturday on USA. 6:30 countdown to green, 7 o'clock racing to determine the Xfinity Series champion. Then on Sunday on NBC and streaming on Peacock at 2 o'clock to get you ready for the big race, the championship race, where whichever of the 4 drivers that are in the championship 4 finish in front of the other, they are the champion. So far, it has taken a win to win that title in Phoenix. Right now, 3 drivers that are closest to the cut line: Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin, odd man out right now. He is 6 points behind William Byron, who has that 4th championship 4 spot. Up front, it's Chase Elliott. And after a season where Chase Elliott has been out of the car for 7 races, 6 of them because of injury, 1 because of suspension, 7 races out of the car didn't enable him to make the drivers' playoffs. And so he's been fighting to get a win. That's one of the biggest things that Chase Elliott has said over and over and over. We would just like to win a race this year.
Yeah, he's had winless seasons before the beginning of his career, but once he began winning, he has never gone winless since, and that's what he's trying to eliminate. We've seen it here before, non-playoff drivers winning. Dale, you and I were not in the playoffs. We had already been eliminated when we went to victory lane in 2014. We've seen some other, it was Clint Boyer won a race here late. So you just wonder if today is the 9's day. He last pitted at lap 305. I don't think they can make it on fuel. That'd be a long, long ways. But if we run for far enough, another, say, 30 or 40 laps, the caution comes out, I'm thinking the whole field might pit anyway, so we'll keep the track position.
Dave, what do you have more on Chase Elliott?
Well, with the substitute drivers, Rick, he was still able to accumulate, the team was still able to accumulate points, what they call the Owners' Championship. So Alan Gustafson told me this morning, we're in a must-win to advance to that championship for Phoenix next week. So they have quite a bit of motivation. Steve, my math tells me they're going to be a little bit shy on fuel, but otherwise the car looks good out front. What does your calculator say?
Yeah, I agree. I think short on fuel as well. You know, the cars behind them that think they could just make it pit at lap 325, so that's 20 laps later. I know it's a small racetrack, but that's still 10 miles. Plus, we've seen long runs to the finish. I'm not sure if we're going to get 136 between the heat out here today, some exhausted drivers both physically. We know they're exhausted mentally with all the beating and banging. I think something's going to boil over before we get to the finish.
Want to get a few more updates from pit road. We'll start with Kim and the driver of the 5.
And what a great call by crew chief Cliff Daniels. Brought Kyle down on lap 305, filled it full of fuel, took 4 tires that way. When the caution came out at 325, they took fuel, only gained 14 spots on pit road for track position. But the question is, are they good on fuel? Take a listen.
Even us and all the guys on the same fuel strategy with us are sitting slightly short from now to the end of the race. But assuming like one more caution period, we would make it.
And I checked in with the team a second ago to see where they stand on that fuel. He said we are closer to making it compared to others, Parker.
Well, Ken, that was the same information given to Denny Hamlin as he moved into 7th place. They told me he's in 7th, but that 3 to 4 cars ahead of him are really, really tight on fuel. They're not sure they're going to make it. They then told him, keep the 12 behind you. And as you look at the points here, it's becoming a situation where the only way this 11 team can control their destiny is to go up there and win this race. They feel like they're in the position to do that right now, Dave.
Ryan Blaney, running 8th, radioed his team with 2 statements and a question. The statements were, it doesn't turn as well in traffic, and I'm just chilling here. The question, are we pretty comfortable on fuel? The answer back, yes, sir. Marty?
Dave, time for the Toyota driver update. Martin Truex Jr. sitting in 22nd right now. Today, October 29th, record high temperatures here in Martinsville. We had 84 earlier today, and bumper cars having an effect on the 19.
Overheating again.
Copy. Just run your fan all the time back here in traffic, I guess. Not much we can do about it.
Jeff, I just checked in with James Small. They don't seem too concerned about the overheating issue, but I have heard several drivers mention inside the car. William Byron especially said when he's beside a car, it is so hot in this race car. Has that been a big issue with this new car for NASCAR, even though we're 2 years in now?
Well, early when the car first came out, Marty, the car was very hot, but they worked exceptionally hard to get the heat out of it, and they've done a great job. But on a day like this in Martinsville, when the brakes are really hot, the transmission's really hot, the transaxle is very hot, all of those things just drive heat completely into that car, and you're just sitting there heat baking. And the hottest race I have ever run in my life was right here. Ricky Rudd won the race. He got out. He could not stand up on pit road. There used to be a driver's lounge. There were like 8 drivers standing in the showers together, full uniforms on, just trying to get cooled down. This place is brutal when it's hot.
And it is a warm one, 82 degrees here in Martinsville today. Chase Elliott continuing to lead this field out front, looking for his first win of 2023. Fans, make sure you download the official app of NASCAR. It allows you to follow the action with free live scoring. There's in-car cameras, radio broadcast. All you have to do, search NASCAR in your app store, and you can start a free trial today. Less than 118 laps now in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Xfinity 500 from Martinsville Speedway. Out in front, it's Chase Elliott. He has a 2.7-second lead over Eric Almirola. Corey LaJoie running third. Eric Jones is fourth. Kyle Larson fifth. Busher, Hamlin, Blaney, Briscoe, and Bell all in the top 10. Differing pit strategy. So drivers up front with Chase Elliott and the 7 of LaJoie. They came to pit road on lap 305. Almirola on 325. Dave.
Yeah, so that puts Corey in that questionable area in terms of making it to the end. Talked to crew chief Ryan Sparks this morning about yesterday, which was a great day until qualifying. He was second fastest in practice, first in 10-lap averages in practice, but when it came to qualifying, Ryan told me they loosened the car up too much, and Corey qualified 30th. So it's been a struggle to get to the front. He's done it now. Maybe a lot of caution, Steve. I'm not so sure that'll save him today. Probably going to have to come to pit road for fuel again.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I was saying, for these guys, they want to run long enough that everybody has to come to pit road, but it's been a big year for this Spire Motorsports team. They run the 7 and the 77 full time. It's been announced that they purchased a third charter. They're going to run 3 cars next year with Corey LaJoie and Carson Hocevar and Zane Smith. So 3 drivers in kind of a joint on that third car with Trackhouse. So we see Gainbridge on the hood. We see that name a lot when we go to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. If you watch the IndyCar series, you see that name a lot. They're a big supporter of motorsports. They've jumped over to NASCAR here as well, and you can tell that their financing, their backing, their support of Spire has helped this team not just grow in size, but grow in numbers. This is statistically the best year Corey LaJoie has ever had, and it's great to see him running here inside the top 5 late in a Martinsville race.
Yeah, somebody else, Steve, that's having a good day that we haven't spoken much about all day, and in the playoffs, if he wins, he would advance to the championship for is Chris Busher. And here he is running in 6th place. They played a smart strategy. They got some track position, 2 tires right here, but pace enough to hold Denny Hamlin off. So this team right here, don't count them out. They have won 2 of the last 6 short track races this year, in position now to get done what they need to get done.
Right behind them, Denny Hamlin, continuing to try to move forward. He's sort of stalled out right here behind the 17 car. Blaney right behind him as well. And then closing in behind them, Briscoe, Bell, all those cars are starting to close a little bit of ground on the duo of the 11 and 12. So it seems like we've gotten to a point where it's kind of flatline stabilized in terms of their ability to use those tires to move forward. Denny has to be able to continue to gain ground some way, somehow, right? He needs those 6 spots. He needs those 6 points. He needs to find himself up toward the front, if not win this race outright.
And Denny still thinks he has to win.
Yeah.
That's the mentality he has.
100 laps to go. As the laps wind down, the truth of the matter starts to come to the surface, and really what has to happen and what's really possible are 2 different things. Like, Denny Hamlin's not gonna, if this thing goes green, he's not gonna drive through these cars if they're gonna be able to somehow find a way to make it on fuel. We know they're short, but how short? Will they try to stay out there and make it? Marty.
Junior reality starting to set in for the regular season champ Martin Truex Jr. as well. Since that speeding penalty, they have been buried in the back of the field, and the frustration is growing.
Might as well stop trying, it ain't doing nothing. I guess the 9's leading.
Coming 115 to go here, 1-5.
I guess I'm right.
Steve Truex growing frustrated behind the wheel. James Small may be out of options to be able to advance to the championship 4. Martin Truex Jr. Steve told me at Darlington, the first race of the playoffs, it feels like 2017 all over again. We have the speed to win every week, and it's been a disaster of the playoffs. How in the world did this happen to the regular season champion?
Well, I'm not sure even with 106 to go, there's enough time to list all the issues. I mean, they have had pit road issues with pit stops. They've had poor strategy choices. Truex has sped on pit road. There's been other mistakes made. They have found a way to kind of lose races. The hardest thing normally in racing is to find speed, this magical four-leaf clover of speed. Yet the 19 has it. They're just missing all the execution parts.
So Eric Almirola hitting a lap 325. Chase Elliott lap 305. Eric also one of those teams that put on 2 tires. And he is faster than Chase Elliott right now. He's a second and a half behind. It would be a huge deal for Eric Almirola just announcing that he's retiring next year. If he can win this race, and we've seen him win these kind of racetracks, New Hampshire, tight corners, stuff like that. That is where Eric Almirola is really good.
And having a great run this afternoon. As you mentioned, Almirola in that second spot, chasing after Chase Elliott, who's leading here at Martinsville. "95 laps remaining in this elimination race from Martinsville Speedway. It's the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs Xfinity 500. Out front, Chase Elliott leading. Only 2 spots remaining in that championship 4. 2 drivers have locked themselves in, with Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson winning races. That means those final 2 spots are the most important to grab, either through points or a win, if they're one of the 6 playoff drivers still fighting. Let's go through the field on the playoff drivers. We'll start with Kim.
And Kyle Larson running in that 5th position, and with all he did to save fuel, Cliff Daniels told him he is good to go hard till the end. They are 2 laps to the good now on fuel. Remember, they won the spring race here at Martinsville, looking to sweep the races here at the paperclip. They think they're going to be vying for the win against the number 10 car, Dave.
Chris Buescher has to win. He's running 6th right now. Will the final pit stop sequence, if there is one, which I believe there will be here at Martinsville, they have to gain positions and they have to improve on that car a bit. Parker.
Well, Dave, we started this day by saying this might be a defining day for Denny Hamlin's career. He has been chasing that elusive championship last year in this very race. He lost a chance at it with that Hail Melon move by Ross Chastain. And on a day today where he won stage 1, he finished second in stage 2, and it looks like for all intents and purposes, he will run in the top 5. It may not be enough for Denny Hamlin, this 11 team, to go fight for a championship at Phoenix, Dave.
Ryan Blaney has done enough right now as they run. You can see plus 16, but he'd still like to win the race. Right now, not the time. Crew chief told him, I don't think it's worth trying to push it. Just run the bottom for now. They're good on fuel, Kim.
Christopher Bell runs in the 10th position, and crew chief Adam Stevens told me this morning they're just looking for a clean, solid day to carry the momentum.
Pass for the lead right here. Eric Almirola underneath the 9 car of Chase Elliott.
9 trying to fight back as Elliott's on that high line. He's been running it quite a bit, keeping the momentum up. But Almirola with that preferred line along the curb. We'll see if he can complete the pass. They stay door to door.
Eric ran him down pretty quickly. I think once he gets clear right here, he's going to be able to drive away, settle into a rhythm.
The gap was over a 1.5 seconds, and Almirola closed that gap quickly and has been able to take over the top spot here at Martinsville.
Already put a little nice gap between him and the 9, taking the pressure off. Chase Elliott now struggling a little bit.
Well, another car that was really good early. Maybe I wouldn't even say he's fading. I just think the 12 is better. Ryan Blaney has finally caught the 11 of Denny Hamlin and is passing or trying to pass the 11. That matters because if you look at the points, Hamlin was already 7 behind Byron, trying to find a few points. Byron is back in an absolute quagmire, a complete mess in the back of the field. So the 11 had some hope, but now Blaney on the inside.
Blaney just has to be patient down here. Denny's going to try to run him as hard as possible. You don't want to get loose, get up the racetrack. Right in front of him, the lap car, Carson Hocevar, using the high side of the racetrack. He's way up in the marbles. That's going to clear for these guys.
Hamlin fights back on the outside. They have Buescher right in front of them, though.
Yeah, they're slowly running down that 17 of Buescher. He continues to struggle with his car today.
Hamlin turning down, not giving the 12 a lot of room to enter that corner too wide. And Denny Hamlin clears to 12. Runs up that high line. Once again, keeps momentum up as now he'll set his sights on getting by the 17 of Buescher.
Yeah, well, Denny continue to use the top of the racetrack. I think he's going to get to the outside of the 17 if possible. Trying to put the power down, spinning the rear tires right there, slide the back of the car. Ooh, gets down into the corner. Late in the run here, car twitching a little bit, trying to put the power down. Back to the bottom of the racetrack. Now he's going to get aggressive. Trying to move the 17 off the bottom.
Steve, 90 laps already on these tires.
They're all right there together. Here's the 12 again of Blaney. He's not going to look to the inside. He's going to be patient. Rolled at the top of the racetrack. We've seen the 12 make this pass many, many times. He's going to do it again. Impressive.
Briscoe saw it. He's going to chase after the 12 on that high line, see if he can make it work also. So Blaney back in front of Hamlin. And Steve, we still do not believe that Elliott, LaJoie, Eric Jones, the guys that came on lap 305, that they can make it all the way on fuel.
I don't believe so. I think they're going to have to pit, but I think Almirola, Larson, Buescher, Blaney, Hamlin, you know, they would rather probably pit. I know Hamlin wants to pit for sure, because in his situation, it's going to be hard for him to advance without something to change. Currently 8 points behind the 24. Blaney, I think that's car enough to win the race, but he's advancing currently on points. I'm not sure. It's kind of, don't be too greedy. You never know if you stack them up how the restart could go wrong. The other half of all of this is, William Byron is doing a nice job. He's past the 19 of Truex. He's working on the 23 of Bubba Wallace. If he can get by Bubba Wallace, then he has a whole straightaway in front. Jeff, you said it 250 laps ago.
The best view at Martinsville is clear racetrack, and William Byron, who has battled a poor handling race car all race long, is hoping to get a little clear racetrack as Blaney being pestered by Buscher. Buscher might be the sleeping giant here. We're not giving enough credit.
Yeah, Blaney just got by Buscher. Buscher out there on a look, he has just right side tires.
Briscoe's putting the pressure on the 11 of Hamlin now. Again, non-playoff drivers taking on these playoff drivers for positions on the racetrack.
Oh, at 14, he's trying to make that bottom work, but you can see the car moving around, a little bit uncomfortable getting into the corner of the braking zone.
Almirola, he's trying to fight through the lap traffic. In particular, the aid of Kyle Busch. This was a lap ago. Put the bumper to him, and again, almost got him sideways.
Almirola doesn't have to deal with any of these guys next year. He feels like he's got a hall pass.
And Almirola almost got the 8 around. He doesn't want a caution. He's out in front. He has track position now.
With 75 to go, these tires are so old and worn that, you know, the beating and banging we saw earlier, it's going to take less of contact to spin a car around.
Yeah, there's a lot of battles right in front of Almirola, people trying to stay on the lead lap.
The 3 of Dillon, the next to go a lap down if Almirola can get by. 24 cars on the lead lap. Almirola leads here in Martinsville. .66 laps remain as Eric Almirola leads the field. Stewart-Haas Racing has not won this season, and Almirola right now on point. Pit strategy got him there on lap 325. He came to pit road, just got 2 tires, was able to get out front, and now Almirola has worked his way up, and he's leading the field. Dave.
And Rick, some people might wonder, when Eric still has it and the team still has it, why is Eric deciding to step away after so many years in the sport? And he told us this week it was because he still has the itch to race, but the time spent away year after year, month after month, has taken its toll, and he wants to spend more time at home watching his kids grow up and staying around with his wife and still racing. Still wants to race locally in the amateur level, but maybe even in trucks or Xfinity at a part-time level. Wants to scratch that itch, just doesn't want to do it week after week. This is a long season, and he's having a great run at the end of it today.
Dave, Eric Almirola would be a great addition to a team in some capacity, right? He has seen a lot of things. He's driven very competitive cars. He's worked himself up through the ranks. He's a dedicated racer. There's more for him ahead. We're going to see Eric. I believe we'll see Eric Almirola around the racetrack in some form or fashion. He's just too valuable to retire and go away. I do know he wants to spend time with his family, but there's a way to do both.
Well, a lot of drivers have a hard time doing it at his age, but impressive for Eric Almirola. As we see the 11 and 5 now nose to tail as Denny Hamlin has closed the gap on Larson.
Yeah, Denny's gotten around the 17 car now, trying to figure out how to make this pass on Larson. I think he'd like the top of the racetrack, but Larson's going to give him the bottom here.
With every pass, Hamlin will get a little bit closer to Byron too. Each position is a point.
Ooh, you see how hard it is for the 11 to get up off the bottom of the corner here. See that 5-inch ahead? Denny's really leaning on him right there. No contact, but he's using every bit of racetrack he can to try to get up off the corner. Love watching guys really try to fight these battles at this racetrack. This racetrack is special. And all these drivers, I think they love having to make this work. You see the 11, Hamlin, he's like, I'm gonna need to use you up. I need a little bit more racetrack right here. I want a dime in the corner, so I'm gonna drive up the racetrack. Take some of that racetrack away from you so I can get that straighter run off.
Larson's not gonna give him any breaks. They have a little bit of a history, some old track arguments, and Larson just isn't gonna cut him any slack.
And he doesn't. He's making it very hard for Denny Hamlin to get by. Again, this is fighting for that 6th spot. The points are 7 between Hamlin and Byron. As long as Byron runs in the 18th spot, Hamlin will have to win the race if he wants to get into the championship 4.
Once Denny gets about a fender on him, he can use him up a little bit more like he did right there. Now he can kind of take what he needs. He's a lead car going into the corner, so he can get up the racetrack, take that line away, and force the 5 out of the gas.
Under 57 laps remaining here in this elimination race. Steve, you mentioned it. Jeff, also, as far as a little bad blood between these two drivers, and Kyle Larson feels like he's been on the receiving end of the bad driving a couple times. This one was at Pocono, exiting turn 1. Thought that Denny had rode him up into the wall, showed his displeasure under caution. And now Kyle Larson has lost that spot. He's running 7th, Kim.
And that 5 car very aware of what their teammate William Byron needs to do. Before Denny made that pass on Larson, Cliff Daniels told Larson, you need to race the 11 as hard as possible. For about the last 50 laps or so, Cliff has been giving Larson updates on where William is running and what he needs to do to also lock himself into the championship 4.
If Denny would get all the way up to 2nd and Byron would fall below 18th, we could have an issue. That would be Byron and Hamlin tied in points. The tiebreaker, if Denny finishes in 2nd, would go to Hamlin. And so that's where Byron is running 18th right now. And his crew chief has already said, you run 18th, we'll stay ahead of Hamlin and be able to get in.
Well, and he's going to end up closer because, you know, if we run under green, we have Chase Elliott, who's going to have to come to pit road, and Corey LaJoie. So there's a couple spots. Now, unfortunately, Byron will get those spots as well. So the real question becomes, can Byron hold off Martin Truex Jr., who's on his rear bumper, and can Byron find some spots in front? Because if you look a ways behind Byron, there's the leader of Eric Almirola. So, you know, there's a lot still in play here with 52 to go, not to mention everybody is on the longest green flag run of the day at 116 laps.
Marty, how about Byron?
It's been an absolute slugfest for the 24 team today. Crazy to think the highest running position of the day for William Byron, 13th. Rudy Fugel knows they're barely on the right side of the cut line, and he's trying to keep his driver in the game.
Keep plugging. Keep staying with it for me. You're doing good.
Step forward, what does that mean?
Nothing. You're doing good. Keep it up.
As long as he stays where he is in 18th, you can see William Byron sawing on the wheel there, a little bit too free off the corner, and Denny Hamlin doesn't gain many more positions. 50 laps stand between William Byron and his first ever championship 4.
Ryan Blaney's moving up through the field as well, all the way up to 3rd place. He's past Eric Jones, Corey LaJoie. Drivers on those older tires. Now Denny Hamlin's starting to take those spots away as well, but this 12 car, 6.5 seconds back, more than likely going to catch Elliott. Don't think he's going to be able to run down Almirola. Almirola's making some great lap times out front, running 21.64. I know all of these cars are in traffic, lap cars and so forth, but that's a great lap time, faster than anybody in the top 10. Here's Denny Hamlin trying to get around the 7 of LaJoie for position. This should be pretty doable, as LaJoie's struggling on the long run here with these older tires.
Justin Haley, though, in the 31, almost creating a block there for Hamlin.
And these cars that are short on fuel, the 9 and the 7 of LaJoie specifically, I expect those cars to be on pit road between around lap 475 and 480.
Look here, look here.
A little bit of contact there between the 7 and the 31 sent Haley up the track.
And Denny's going to get more and more aggressive. His time's running out.
Yeah, Martinsville action. You see Haley up the racetrack a little bit. Contact with LaJoie.
And then Hamlin. Here comes the 14 of Chase Briscoe. He throws it inside of that 7.
Well, with Hamlin passing the 7 and Byron losing a spot to Truex down to 3 points. 3 points is what separates the 24 and the 11 from a championship 4 run.
There's really nobody coming, though, behind that 24.
Truex did get around him, so now he's down in the 19th position.
That's right. Yep. Letarte covered it, and I think everything's pretty good still. I would tell him, look, everything's fine. Nobody coming from behind. We've got the points. Don't get restless and make a mistake. Don't spin anybody out in front of you or cause a caution.
My big fear is we're kind of in uncharted territory, Jeff, right on rear tire wear. Like, does these fall off a cliff, or are we kind of where we are? You know, sometimes you get in the last 20 laps and you literally you lose chunks of time.
Yeah, see this battle right here. Tyler Reddick and Harrison Burton, they've been going at it, trying to stay in front of the 10 car of Almirola. Reddick has just not had the day that he needed to have. You know, he needed a great day, right? And he's had a not so great day, and now he's fighting to stay in the lead lap.
And frustration is going to take over.
Something happened to the 34 car right there.
Yeah, I saw that going down the back straightaway. Lost a lot of speed. Got up out of the groove, maybe down in turn 1 and 2.
Race leader Eric Almirola in the 10, trying to put the 45 a lap down. Marty.
Time running out, Rick. 41 to go, and William Byron trying to make his first ever championship 4. He wanted an update of where the point situation is, and just asked moments ago.
How many more? Give me a number.
We got to finish in this spot, no matter what. Or forward.
How did it change so fast?
We're still +3, but as farthest he can go forward, this is our spot. We're still +3.
The farthest he can go forward is Denny Hamlin. That's the car that he's worried about. Ryan Blaney wins. He is still in a good position, but you can feel the tension down here, Steve, as teams are doing the math.
Well, yeah, and it's been a long run. Minds are exhausted. Drivers are exhausted. Tires are worn out. One little slip can be your entire season, right? We talk about 3 points, you're fine. But we just saw the 34 slow in the backstretch because he got out of the groove. If that happened to the 24 car, could 3 points catch him? Parker, how about the other side and Denny Hamlin in the 11?
Right, and Chris Gabehart came on the radio just laps ago and gave Denny the situation and said, if you got anything left, we have got to go. He just got updated that Blaney's about 4 seconds ahead of him, and they've got to go after him. It's all on go for the 11 team going forward.
Digging deep for everything they could get right now. These drivers trying to muscle these cars around this half mile. There's Coach Gibbs watching on. He has Christopher Bell already in the championship 4. Would like to see the 11 of Denny Hamlin or the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. join him in that championship 4.
So I know a lot ebbs and flows with traffic, but the other thing worth discussing is Ryan Blaney has taken this gap all the way down to 2.7 seconds, chunks of time. The 10 has worked through a little bit of traffic, but now only 2 cars between Blaney and Almirola. It's the 8 of Kyle Busch, the 4 of Kevin Harvick, and the 10 still stuck behind that battle Jeff talked about of Reddick and Harrison Burton. Nowhere to go for the 10, the 12 closing in.
You talk about it, Steve. It's a time in the run where some cars that are out there on old tires will drop off a cliff in lap time, and that 12 has not done that on those newer tires.
Well, on the other front, you know, if you go in front of the 21, the 24 of William Byron is in an app. Look at this mess. He doesn't want any part of this. He has the 19 right here, the 41 of Priest, the 23 of Bubba Wallace, blocking, shoving, pushing, banging.
Yeah, this battle, the battle behind this with Harrison, Reddick, and Almirola, they're catching this group. So it's starting to stack the whole field up.
Yeah, the positions that Byron doesn't want to lose, they're coming. They're now starting to run him down, so he has to go.
Byron's trying to get by Priest now. This would take that 18th spot back for William Byron.
And will Priest understand the aggression, right? It's unusual getting run over, moved up by the racetrack by that, you know, that much contact.
On the background, Eric Almirola on the outside of Tyler Reddick.
And Blaney has taken it down under 2 seconds now for the lead. 32 to go. What was once a comfortable lead for Almirola, slowly disappearing to Blaney in the 12, Dave.
And remember, he is good on fuel. Remember what Jonathan Hessler told me about practice. We were very, very good on the short run, not so good on the long run. We're going to make adjustments for that. And boy, have they, with that 12 car not falling off. He's been told that the 10 car can probably make it on fuel as he closes in on him.
There's so much on the line. The 10 wants to win, the 12 trying to run him down, and for the 24, he cannot lose a lap because that allows him to lose more points if we have a restart and issues.
This 47 car looks like he's backing up pretty hard. Everybody's caught up to him.
Byron's all the way up to 17th. So that now gains him another spot on Hamlin. 5 points separate those two. 30 laps remain at Martinsville.
And now we can almost get Ryan Blaney and Eric Almirola in the same camber shot behind this 24. There you see it. The number 10 Smithfield Ford. Then the 45 of Reddick a lap down. Then the 12 of Blaney. What would it do? I know Blaney is currently looking good to advance, but if he wins, can he repeat what Logano did? Nobody had Logano last year. A very average year. He went to Phoenix. He won the championship. Could he double that down for Team Penske?
Blaney so strong here at Martinsville this weekend. And now, as he tries to reel in that 10 of Eric Almirola, he's got Reddick in front of him. Again, the lap down car.
He's getting ready to go by Reddick. Down here in 1 and 2. Nothing between him and the 10. The 10 trying to put the 47 car lap down, but this 12 car is much faster.
Blaney now to the back bumper of the 10 for the lead at Martinsville. Ryan Blaney, 2 wins on the 2023 season. And running well enough right now points-wise to advance to the championship 4. But a win here would give you momentum as well as you go to the final race of the season. Hamlin trying to get by the 9 of Chase Elliott to take over that 3rd spot.
Chase struggling on those old tires, and Denny using that high line. Create this momentum down the back straightaway. He's probably going to make this pass pretty easily. Battle for the lead, still a couple car lengths there between the two.
And this is when, Steve, you had mentioned you thought those guys that came at lap 305, they may have to be coming to pit road here soon. That includes the 9 of Chase Elliott.
Yeah, I think he's only a few laps away. And up top, you see the 12 bearing down on the 10 of Almirola.
For the lead. And does he put the bumper to him?
I think he might look to the outside here. He's made a lot of passes there. Look, down into turn 1. He's going to give it a shot. Can he get to that outside? He's right there to the quarter panel. The 10 has to lift on corner exit. Can't finish the throttle. That gives the momentum to the 12.
Into 3 and 4. They're door to door. Coming up on Harrison Burton in the 21. Blaney takes the lead away. 22 to go.
Now as Blaney takes the lead, he gets labeled the leader on the points. He was good on points anyway, so not a change or a shift. It's still now a points battle between Byron and Hamlin for that final spot. Hamlin running 3rd, Byron running 16th.
Hamlin can't get enough points unless he wins this race. It has to be Byron falling back for Hamlin to be able to advance based on points.
But this late, you know, one slip. Byron's in a good spot, little space in front, little space behind, but I mean, they're on pins and needles. They are driving around on ice.
Byron running in that 16th spot, Hamlin running 3rd.
5 to the 12. 12's the leader. If the 12 gets to us and passes us, that's fine. We're still good. Copy me? Got it.
Great coaching. Rudy Fugle being very clear on the expectations, what he needs his driver to do. It has not been easy. It has not been smooth, Marty, but the 24 has found a way to stay in the game.
And Rudy Fugle wanted his driver to know that. He told the trotter on Channel 2, he said, listen, if the 12 passes us, tell William, do not freak out. It's okay. We're +6 right where we are, Parker.
And it's been a different story for the 11 team. They have not told him any of the point situation with William Byron. They only told him when Blaney took the lead and how many seconds he was out front, basically telling him they had to run him down right now for the 11 team to go after this win. They have not told him any of the point situation with William Byron.
And I think it's only going to get more dire because the 9 of Chase Elliott we expect to come to pit road. He's currently behind Hamlin. He's in front of the 24, so that'll be a point for the 24.
You see the 43 car right there, Eric Jones, he's coming to pit road. So that's sort of that cycle, those cars that did stay out. Last pitting on lap 305 should be coming to pit road. Those are positions for this 24 car.
William Byron, as he's running in that 15th position, even if he goes a lap down and stays 15th, Hamlin still has to win the race.
In a track where we have seen fireworks in the closing laps, here we are, 152 green flag laps.
Yeah, this 12 car, if he's able to come up here and lap the 24 and then go lap another car or two, it could trap the 24 car a lap down, and that could end up costing him a ton of positions if he doesn't have a great restart. Anything can happen right here. If I'm William Byron, I am fighting hard to stay on this lead lap.
Corey LaJoie to pit road. That should give the 24 another position.
I hear your point, Jeff. I'm not sure the 24 has anything to fight with.
Oh, I know. He does not have the car. There's no question. But what he has to hope now, he'll be the first car a lap down, but now he has to hope that Blaney doesn't get up there and get the 19.
So Blaney has now put William Byron a lap down. So now only 13 cars on the lead lap with 14 to go.
Only one more car out on the racetrack that may come to pit road for fuel in front of that 24, his teammate Chase Elliott.
Big pop right there on the shift.
Yeah. Could be a lot of rubber buildup flying into the crush panel.
So the 24 of William Byron still scored in the 14th position as Ryan Blaney still leading. Byron 7 points ahead of Hamlin for the final transfer spot for the championship 4.
If he can't get to Phoenix, I think he had the fastest car last year. Runner up the last 2 races at Phoenix. He didn't win last year, but he was really fast.
He might not have tried to win, considering what was on the line for his teammate Joey Logano last year. Given the opportunity for a championship, though, as Chase Elliott now comes to pit road, giving another position to the 24 car on the racetrack.
Byron now scored 14th. And now as those drivers that had come to pit road on lap 305 have come to pit road again for fuel, the only cars on the lead lap last came on lap 325. Steve, we think they can make it all the way on fuel. Blaney out in front. He has a 1.4 second lead over Almirola. Denny Hamlin, who runs third, doesn't have enough positions to be able to get by Byron. A position on the racetrack is a point.
Yeah, remember, a power steering failure a week ago is kind of what put Denny Hamlin behind. He was running really good at Miami. A mechanical failure put him in the wall. Came here at 17 below the cut line. Led early, won the first stage, second in the second stage. He's going to run in the top three if it continues. It's just not going to be enough. Too far behind coming into the race.
And this is not over for Blaney. He has caught this pack, and this is what he's been greeted with. It is a mess. They are all racing to try to stay in the lead lap. The 34 car, he has stopped and put on tires, so he is trying to get through there on newer tires.
In big picture, Hamlin is still 5 seconds back from Blaney, and Hamlin now in a must-win situation as they're running. 8 points separate Byron and Hamlin. Under 6 laps to go in this race.
There you see the 10 car still running second. Almirola a little bit quicker because Blaney's held up by the lap traffic. So what does Blaney have left? Is he just being patient here? Has he used up those rear tires? Look at that car on corner exit, the acceleration just not quite there.
What will this do for the mentality of the 12 team if they can hang on, if they can continue on, and with less than 4 laps to go, they can grab the victory here at Martinsville.
Tyler Reddick just hit pit road.
He's one of those cars that pitted on lap 325, getting a little bit of fuel and pulling away. So that begs the question, do all the cars that pitted at 325 have the fuel to target?
Well, and you got to remember, you know, these fueling systems are slower than the past cars, so we assume that they're all full, but that could be an assumption. Maybe the 45's behind. When you take 2 tires, you don't have the time to put as much fuel in it as you think, so we will see. I haven't seen a lot of chatter on the radio from the leaders concerned about fuel.
Under 3 laps. Do you have 1.5 miles of fuel left? That's the question now. 2 to go for Ryan Blaney. Under 1 mile here at Martinsville.
And unlike at other tracks, you're not going to coast around. If it stumbles and runs out, you're out.
Blaney right on the back bumper of Michael McDowell, this time by.
White flag.
1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. 1/2 mile of fuel is what Ryan Blaney needs. Less than that now. As he works his way through the final turns, Ryan Blaney is going to win his way into the championship 4. He wins at Martinsville.
Yeah, baby. Let's go, fellas. Let's go. Awesome job, man. Let's go race for a championship. So proud of everybody, man. Good job. Let's go win a championship. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go, boys.
William Byron finishing in 13th. That will give him enough points to be that 4th driver in the championship 4. This checkered flag moment brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. From practice and qualifying, Ryan Blaney showed that he was the fastest in Martinsville, and he backed it up today. He grabs the win at Martinsville and now waves to the crowd around this track. So appreciative of the talents and performance that they saw today. Byron out of the car. See him pouring water down his back. The 4th of the championship 4. William Byron advances on points out of this round of 8. And now the 4 drivers are set who will fight for a title next week. The helmet's about to come off for Ryan Blaney. Let's go down and chat with him with Marty.
Rick, Ryan Blaney grew up in High Point, North Carolina. It's only about an hour from Martinsville Speedway. It's his home track, and he punches his ticket into the championship 4. They won at the round of 12 at Talladega, NASCAR's biggest track, and they win in the round of 8 at NASCAR's smallest track. Blaney will race for a title this year. Gonna go collect the checkered flag in front of the hometown fans as well. He'll get a grandfather clock too. Told his spotter Josh Williams, I cannot believe we did it here at Martinsville. Always picks out a young man or a young lady in the stands to give them the checkered flag. Ryan, welcome to the championship 4. What's the significance of doing it at your home racetrack, Ryan?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's I grew up in High Point, so not too far from here, closer to High Point, honestly, than close to Martinsville than Charlotte. So it's really cool. We've been wanting to win here for a long time. Just been super close for many years, and awesome to close one out.
With all the talk this year, Ryan, of the struggles for Team Penske, how did you guys come to life in the playoffs, Ryan?
Well, I mean, we've thought we put together a really strong playoffs, and especially the round of 8. We had a good run on the whole round of 8. So, yeah, just overall, just really proud of the whole effort. Awesome to have discount tire on the car, Menards, Ford, Advanced Auto Parts, Body Armor, Tex Imaging, Worth, Wabash, everything they do. It wouldn't be possible. So, RP couldn't be here, unfortunately, but I know he's watching, and this is awesome. So. Can't wait to get to Phoenix next week.
Rick, I think these hometown fans have someone to pull for in the championship 4. Ryan Blaney will try to win back-to-back titles for Team Penske.
And as 4 are celebrating, 4 obviously are disappointed that they won't be fighting for a championship. Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, and Chris Busch are all eliminated from this round of 8. And so they'll head off to Phoenix and race for maybe one more win, but the title now out of their grasp. Ryan Blaney is going to now head to the Ruoff Mortgage Victory Lane to celebrate with his team. Pretty big win for Ryan Blaney in 16 starts here at Martinsville. He had never won until today. In a position coming in where he was above the cut line, fighting for a shot at that championship. He now has the most momentum of anyone going into the final weekend of the season. Ryan Blaney goes out, leads 145 laps, and the most important one, the final one. He wins at Martinsville, and now is in the championship 4. It's the NASCAR America Post-Race Show, presented by Progressive, also streaming live on Peacock. The Champ 4 is set. Larson, Bell, Blaney, and Byron, the 4 drivers that will fight for a title. Kyle Larson has won one before. The other 3 will be going for their first championship. The winningest driver this year, William Byron, and he's the youngest that will be a part of the championship 4 at just 25 years old. Marty.
Let's chat with the regular season champ, Martin Truex Jr. A well-deserved seat on pit wall here. Man, it looked like early on you had a car that could contend, Martin. I mean, how much different was the game once the speeding penalty happened back in traffic?
It's completely different. I mean, you know, if we couldn't find a way to flip track position pit stop wise, we were never going to get there. I mean, our car was good, but the field's so tight, so close, and you know, your car just drives so much worse in traffic. So I felt like we did really good to get back to where we did. You just burn the tires off so much worse back there on that hot, dirty track and dirty air, and you know, you're in more rubber, and it's just a dogfight. So I don't know, we gave it a hell of an effort. I feel like we had a really strong car. I don't think we could have beat the 12. He was really, really strong, but we were definitely close. Something to work on for next time, but just really disappointed, you know. I mean, I thought I was well under speed leaving that box, and you know, clearly we were speeding. So obviously we have something to look at there, and it's devastating, but yeah, that's racing.
I go back to a conversation you and I had at Darlington before the playoffs started, and you said it feels like 2017 all over again. We can win any week. How do you start to put your arms around what happened to you guys after winning the regular season title here in the 10 races of the playoffs?
Man, I think it just shows how tough this sport is, and you know, anybody that races here and guys that have raced here that do the broadcast, they'll tell you, I mean, it's this close, man. And you find this little bit, and you know, suddenly you look like a hero, and you know, some other guys find some stuff, and suddenly you're not. And you know, we've been fast at times, but you know, execution hasn't been solid, hasn't been consistent. So we've had some bad luck. We've had a little bit of everything. It's, you know, like I said, some years it feels like it's your year, and some years it feels like it's not. And I just feel like we couldn't do anything right. And if it was ever a 50-50 call, it always went against us. And you know, the blown engine, the flat tire, you name it, just problem after problem, just kept setting us back, and we couldn't get no momentum. But I think we did a great job today. Again, it was just a tiny little error. 0.2 miles an hour can ruin your whole year, unfortunately.
Rick, the regular season champion, will not race for a title in 2023.
You talk about regular season champion and what he put together. 3 wins on the 2023 campaign.
I think to really put it in perspective, though, you have to go back a whole season ago. This is a driver that went winless, that didn't make the playoffs. Stuck with the same team, the same crew chief, the same organization to bounce back, to put this season you see on the screen in front of you, right? To put those 3 wins, to win the regular season championship. And then I think they felt like they were over the hump, and then these playoffs looked like last year all over again. Speed there. You just heard Martin say it. He couldn't even tell you what. A little bit of everything, because that's exactly what happened. A little bit of everything went wrong for the 19.
And almost a mirror image of what happened a year ago. Denny Hamlin, the first driver out based on points, because what was done today by the 24 and the 12, and Parker standing by with Denny.
Right, Rick, he came to this race 17 points below the cut line. You won stage 1, second in stage 2, finished third in the race, and it still wasn't enough to advance. Where did it go wrong for you guys today, Denny?
Ultimately, the mechanical failure last week with the power steering, that sealed our fate. But really proud of this whole FedEx Toyota team for showing up today when we really needed to, and having a probably mid 50-point day. Just they did great. They did absolutely great. And the 12 car was the best car today, so congrats to them and all the Final Four that made it. They're all deserving. It's going to be a great show next week. But hey, we're not in it for sure with our FedEx Camry, but man, we definitely, I was happy with the performance we had today, and really all around. Just in a round of 8, you just can't have one bad week, and unfortunately mechanical failure takes us from running really well to in the 30s, and that's it.
What's the emotion like? Last year it was the Hail Melon that knocked you out. To be this close once again to going to fight for a championship and not getting that opportunity. 51 career wins. You're going to go down as one of the best of all time, but to not have another chance at fighting for a championship. What's the emotion?
Man, I just want to get ready and go try to win next week. I mean, I still love it so much because every week I feel like I got a shot to win. And that's what fuels my passion, even at my age, to keep doing this, is that I'm with the team that I've got that gives me such fast cars every week and gives me a chance to continue to pile on those stats before the end of my career. And it's not over by any means. We got a long way to go. So I'm really happy about the year in general. I thought substantially faster this year at all racetracks than what we were last year. But it's racing, right? I mean, this is the playoffs. You got a 3-race season. The 12 car showed up this round, right? And so he deserves to be in that Final Four. And with the performance they had today was phenomenal. So I'm just happy for these guys, and one more week.
A lot of fight left in Denny Hamlin, this 11 team, guys.
Denny's right. They have improved this year, and they look to be the favorite when we were moving through the first round or 2 of the playoffs. And again, he'll point to that failure at Homestead last week as what took them away from their opportunity to win the championship in Phoenix. But it's been an incredible career, and he said it. He's got more left. I think he's got more left. I think they can come back and repeat, have another great season, and give it another run, and we'll be here for it.
We've got plenty more from Martinsville, this elimination race. NASCAR America Post Race is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. For a job you'll love, visit progressive.com/careers.